Hello, everyone, and welcome to Costog Questions. That was like a bit of a delay there. My start button didn't auto change my scene, so it was just like, is it gonna go? Is it gonna go? Right off the bat, Purfly, thank you for the raid. Sorry you had to do it right before we were gonna start, and you're in the waiting screen there, but I appreciate it. Welcome to Costog Questions. This episode is going to be all about self-shooting. We'll probably talk about more things than that, but that's going to be the main focus, so it'll be kind of a cool special episode. As always, I'm joined by my co-host and friend, Sorairo-Days, right over here. But this time, we are joined by two awesome cosplayers and maybe the people that self-shoot the most, at least out of anyone that I know. Below me, we've got Starbuxx, or Megan, and Megan, you're maybe the most efficient and just has the highest level of cosplay output out of anyone in existence. It continues to blow me away every time. I'm just like, how does she have that willpower and the energy and everything? So I'm super interested to dig into that.
It's because I have nothing better to do. Everyone always asks, and they're like, well, that's all I got to do.
But it's not. You put out more stuff than people who do cosplay full time, and it's like your side thing. This is
I don't know.
So you say that, but there's a nugget of truth there, but at the same time, that's not the whole deal.
Oh, ask Jenya. He'll tell you it's what it is.
And then we're joined as well by Alligator, or Allison, or Oki Cosby, whatever you want to call her by. It'll always be Oki Cosby for me, because that's what's on my water bottle. So
yeah,
cute.
Okay, so I'm sure lots of people here know who you guys are, but I kind of want to dig in a little bit. So first off, Megan, I would love to know what got you into cosplay and how long you've been doing it for.
Okay. I was in college. I think I was halfway through college, so maybe 2012, 2013, I started cosplaying. I went to a convention because I sold fan art. I used to draw lots of fan art and sell it at cons. And I saw people cosplaying there. And I know I saw cosplay online, but I never thought I would do it. And then after I went and sold fan art at the convention, I'm like, well, next time I'm doing that. So I made something. I made a couple things, and then it's kind of just snowballed from there, I guess. And I've been doing my own photography for, I guess, maybe 3 years of my own cosplay. Before that, would help me, or my mom would take cell phone photos of my costumes. But yeah, that's pretty much
that's
it.
so cute.
I love it. I'm gonna have some questions for you guys on that in a little bit, because I think that's an interesting topic to talk about. Is how do you get people to help you that have no idea what they're doing with the camera? And I'm sure
topic,
both of you have experience with that, and I think that'll be super super helpful. And yes, is that the Furby one? Yeah, that's we included a Furby photo in this collection.
I didn't. I was looking at I see it now.
Yeah,
so funny.
I just to keep my life easy, I just stole a bunch of Instagram images for both of you guys.
That's totally fine. That's hilarious. I didn't actually check the Twitch. I didn't know that was there. All my Furbies.
Yep. And then Allison. How about you? What got you into cosplay? How long you been doing it? That jazz.
So I started doing cosplay in 2007, back when DeviantArt was cosplay's main platform.
Yes.
And I used to see Jin from Behind Infinity do their Naruto costumes. And hang on, I think my webcam's about to die, so I'm gonna prepare this other one. But I have my other one right here. And so I started doing that. I went to my first convention that same year, and it hasn't stopped since, and it's snowballed into my profession. So here we are.
Yeah. So that's a good point. I would say I know you do make some money from it, but this isn't your main gig, Megan. But Allison, this is your main source of income. So professional cosplayer. Wow.
That's great though. I love that, honestly.
Well,
Is she
we
okay?
switched.
Gone?
It worked out.
This one's about to die. I had 2 of them just in case.
Why don't you buy a chart or like a AC adapter for your camera?
It's plugged in. It is. I promise.
Oh,
So, but
professional
know.
We're hearing her from beyond the void because she's not there anymore.
You can't hear me?
We can hear you.
No, we can hear you.
hear
We
you.
can't so it's just like darkness.
Yeah, it's amazing how it's shifted in color. That one of those is significantly more bright than the other.
I can see Mochi.
Yeah.
I'm
Spam your Vontog doggo emotes in chat for Mochi. I loved your most recent post on Instagram with Mochi, Elson.
where I'm a witch.
Yeah, and
she's like,
Mochi gets the
doggo?
zoomies. Oh my god.
Oh my god, yeah.
That was funny. That was very funny.
This dog is a nightmare.
No, she's a BB.
She's so cute.
She is very cute. Can confirm. She also, she has a very short attention span. I think that's the way I would put it.
She's still a puppy though, right?
She'll be 2 at the end of November.
Never mind.
Olive's birthday. He turns 2 in November. That's funny.
Okay.
The bird.
Sorry, I had to post one thing that I forgot to post. So let's just jump right into it here. Actually, there's a couple things I was going to say before we got into it. I totally forgot. So majority of the stream, we're going to be talking about self-shooting. I got a bunch of questions preloaded up. However, as we're going, if you have any questions in chat, please let us know. I'll be watching and trying to integrate those in. However, for the final bit here, once we get to it, we'll be taking chat questions. So be on the watch for that in the second half of the stream or whatever. Audience participation is highly encouraged. So once again, if you have any questions, paste those in, and I'm watching for them. Couple things just for next streams. I'm going to be streaming some more Luigi's Mansion on Thursday. And then next week, normally we'd stream on a Tuesday. That's November 3rd. And yeah, that's if I stream that day, it is going to be voting related, and I'm going to ask everyone that comes by if they've voted already, and they can only watch the stream if they voted. So I don't know. I'm kind of like trying to figure out what's going on there yet, but yeah, no like major stream that day, so no episode. But yeah, go vote. Go
vote. Vote early. Mail in your absentee.
Yes.
Track your ballot like I did, like a loser.
Hey,
no, it's important. There's so much stuff going on.
It's totally important.
It's good to keep track.
Yeah, and honestly, like, yeah, you're checking, but like, it's kind of nice to know that, hey, my vote went through. Yeah, sorry if you're not an American. I know I'm sure you're dealing with a bunch of noise about our election already. It's important. The amount of young individuals that do not vote in our country is insane, and we need to improve that. So vote. Last thing before we jump into the stream here, if you're enjoying things here, please consider subscribing. By no means expected, but if you have the means, definitely appreciate it, especially if you have Amazon Prime. That means you have Twitch Prime, which gives you 1 free sub per month to give to whichever streamer you'd like. And if you haven't used it, I'd love it if you could use it here. But if you have Amazon Prime and you haven't linked it, do it. Give it to a streamer, and you have to do it every month, because otherwise you're letting Papa Jeff have that money, and he don't need that money.
He doesn't need more money, you guys.
And I'd normally ask for donations here, but you guys killed it so hard last stream. I'm still in awe. You guys freaking amazing. Thank you so much. We're gonna be building the new rig soon, and we're gonna have more power to deal with Costog challenge episodes, and it's gonna be great. I still can't thank you guys enough for that. So you're awesome. And with that, let's jump into the main part of Costog Questions. So the first thing I want to ask you guys, and it's kind of like a question that I think is like, well, no duh, but then also has when you start thinking about it, there's a lot more to it. So, why self-shoot? Oh, Diegas, thanks for the $5. Appreciate it, my dude.
Oh, thank you.
Who wants to start this off? Why self-shoot?
That's gonna go towards my Naruto headband.
Yes.
I guess I'll start. So the reason I had to start self-shooting is just because mostly of me doing Patreon content and my location geographically. I'm 3 hours away from Andrew. I'm 3 hours away from friends in Chicago. And so it's not really viable for me to make those trips constantly to get content. And I don't necessarily have the budget every month because Patreon can fluctuate, OnlyFans can fluctuate so much, and I may not have the budget to pay a photographer. So I invested in myself and learning a new skill to make the content that I need monthly.
How about for you, Megan?
So I guess I had too many costumes and too many ideas. People definitely couldn't keep up with that, so I wanted to do it myself. But also, like, any cosplayer in the chat can relate. Sometimes, like, you shoot and nothing comes back from it. And like, which is all well and good. I know photographers have their own lives, but it was years of me never getting photos back from photographers. And I'm like, I can just do this myself and I can get my photos back the same day and I can just be happy. So for me, it was like an efficiency thing. And also, like, it just filled me to, like, okay, I did my project and I have my project. Not I did my project and now it's in someone else's hands and I might not ever see it again. So I think that was really it. I just wanted to do my own thing and be in, like, control of it. And that worked pretty well for me.
Absolutely. Clearly, that's one of, like, the main benefits of self-shooting is you just have, like, so much control over the process.
Yeah.
And
sure.
If it ever gets caught up, it's always on you. So, like, you're never waiting on someone. If you don't like the shots, then you can move on. If you are really happy with them, you can get them out the day after. Like, it's totally up to you in terms of that production process.
Sure.
With that said, is there any other benefits that you found during your time self-shooting that you kind of were like, I didn't foresee this being part of it that I enjoyed, or was a benefit that I didn't know about since you guys have shot so much?
I started enjoying conventions so much more because I'm not worried about booking photographers all the time and having the worry, like Megan talked about, of like, when am I going to get these photos back? I need content to post on Instagram, Twitter, etc. But, like, that's all on me, and I can do those things on my own time, and I can just enjoy my convention experience, actually enjoy the place I'm spending money on a badge, and go shopping at Artist Alley, go to maybe a panel, or, like, drink to and dance to K-pop songs and not have to worry about a puffy face the next morning. Like, it's so great. It's so great.
No, I completely agree. I started enjoying cons more because before I was doing my own photos, I would have a spreadsheet of all the people I had to see that day for photos, and I would carry around a spreadsheet like a psychopath at CostuCon. And I still had fun,
I love
but,
Sarah's
like,
face right now.
What? Are you kidding?
Look, I'm a changed man, okay? That was the old Megan.
Oh my god.
I would have my days all 4 fully booked for, like, me meeting up with photographers. Just like it was just like, oh, do you want to shoot? Sure. I'll pencil you in, kind of thing. I know. I don't know. I'm different now. And I was very busy. That's what I would do all day long, every single day. Now I'm like, Zhenya, get up. We're going to go take some photos. And then I'm going to be in this costume for a bit. And then we're good. And we can go do something else. And it's been so much more, like liberating, because I'm not like, oh, I have to work to get these photos. Now I have the photos. I can do whatever I want.
Are you still shooting, like, 500 million cosplays at one con, or have you massively lowered
No.
that?
Now, complicated question because yes and no. I definitely bring less. Hold on. I definitely bring less to each con, but like I shoot mostly like here. So I'm using backdrops at home or I'm using local locations. So I'm like, if I can like do stuff in a new location, which is even just Costog, because I really only go there once a year, I try to take advantage of that. But I'm not all day in cosplay usually as much as I was before. It's like, okay, I'm in this costume. Let's go shoot. I'm done. Next. Like, I'm not waiting to shoot with anybody else unless a friend was like, I want to shoot that costume, then of course. But I'm like, let's go. We got to change. Next, chop chop. We got to go. So I can go and enjoy
Get
my
this
freedom
done.
right after.
Yes.
Awesome. Any other benefit that you guys feel that that has popped up for you guys with self shooting or enjoyment or anything like that?
I think it's really helped me take control maybe over like the image that I put out on the internet too.
100%.
Because like Megan also said, like we get total creative control over every aspect of it. So it's up to us to decide the standard of our content now versus being like, okay, this type of style and then this type of style with this photographer and then it goes to this kind of cinematic thing, but then it's super cute, bright thing. I don't know. But like you just get to really curate what you're putting out there and like, I don't know. Yeah. You dictate your image, I
Completely.
guess.
Yeah, no, that makes
Yeah,
a lot of sense.
full creative control is great because it's like, I know for a fact I'm not going to edit a photo I don't like how I look in, or an unflattering pose, or like I'll edit something I didn't like out, or like whatever. I know I have like all that like control. I guess like, you don't always have when you're working with other people. So it's just nice because it's like I have exactly what I want. For sure.
Yeah.
Totally. Now to the flip side, what are your least favorite parts of self shooting, or most frustrating or most time consuming or what have you? Sarah, I know you do it. Have done enough now to have a good opinion on this too, so don't be afraid to answer on this.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Megan. Oh
okay.
God.
You gotta love these internet connection problems where everyone's like, no, you.
I just don't want to like
Megan,
step on people's toes
go
if they
for it,
want to
Megan.
talk. Sorry. So the one drawback I have mostly is it's liberating, but it can be limiting in certain ways. If I want to go on a location to do a photo shoot and I'm by myself, I don't love that. I don't like being out by myself, especially like in costume. You become a spectacle.
Yep.
I'm not comfortable with it, and like lately, that has been a big source of anxiety because like people do sometimes harass you, and like sometimes you don't feel super safe. So
Yeah.
usually, I try to get my mom to go with me. But that's mostly it. Is like I feel great because I can do so many things at home. If I have to go to a park or a parking garage or a location by myself, I don't love it. And like that, I don't do it so much anymore. But when I have to, I don't. It doesn't feel good. Because you never know what's gonna happen that day. Like who's gonna come up to you? Is it from either? I hate confrontation of any sort. If it's a security guard telling me to leave, my day is ruined. Because then I'm like, oh no, I was bad. Or if it's some like gross person trying to holler, no, I'm getting in my car, sir. I'm calling the police. Like you need to leave me alone. Like I don't like. I want to be completely alone and unseen when I do these things, and unfortunately, like, that's not always it. So mostly it's just that, like going out in public, not a fan.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We'll get into that a little bit more in the near future. But because I think there's a lot to dig into there. But switch over to Allison on your thoughts as to your least favorite parts or what kind of catches you up in self shooting.
Oh my God. So I don't know. I get really bad body dysmorphia, I guess, constantly looking at my photos and looking at raw images, and this is why cosplayers, you don't want to see your raw images. You don't. And it's just like it just really gets in your head and you got to try and pull yourself out of that mindset a lot, and sometimes you're just stuck like hating yourself for like a week. But then the other side too, or other thing that I don't like is that things just take so long. You like people really take like for granted the amount of effort a photographer puts into a shoot or just someone else that's there to help you coordinate everything because you've got backdrops to set up and take down. You've got any lighting equipment you want to set up and then take down. You've got to get into makeup and then get into costume. You got to set up the tripod and then set up a camera. And then if you're using a monitor, you got to set that up. And then maybe you'll start shooting, but you got to take test shots to get your lighting right. And then you're doing like warm-up shots and they're not that great and then you're just disheartened, but then something happens and then it starts working and then you're shooting for like an hour like for good photos and it's already been like 4 hours. So like I miss having someone else there to do just like the setup side.
Yeah.
But then when you're done with the shooting, then you go home and you stare at everything and you're just like, this is my life now. I've got 100 photos to cull through to get down to like, I put out sets of like 20, 25 every month and of just like one costume or like look. And then I had to sit down and put hours into editing all of that. So it's just a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
On that body dysmorphia, I think that's so interesting how it comes out when you're shooting your own photos too. I can vouch for that. I've done very little self-shooting, but I have done some, especially recently. I was trying to get some new like profile photos. And you start to like question, you're just like, how do I smile? Do I smile like that? And then you smile and you're just like, no, that's not how I smile. And you just like get in your own head about things sometimes where you're just like, what the hell? Like, because you're so hyper aware of everything that like something slightly being off, you're just like, what the crap? And no one else probably would notice it, but you're like just so in tune that it drives you nuts.
Yes.
Any other thoughts on things that drive you nuts about self-shooting?
My dog, she likes to disrupt everything I'm doing. I don't know if you guys saw a video I posted on my social the other day. She was attacking me, and it was only us in the woods, and she definitely would have won that fight if it would have gotten out of control. And last year, I was shooting out in another set of woods. She decided to get covered in mud and jump at me and stuff while I'm trying to take photos. She's a menace, so she's awful.
She's an adorable menace, at least.
Yeah.
You guys have any other thoughts on this subject? Otherwise, I'll move it on.
I'm good.
Okay, cool. So the next section I want to talk about is an area I'm sure you guys get a lot of questions about, and that's equipment. So, you know, you guys are both coming from the cosplayer side of things before you even probably touched a camera, and you know, you started self-shooting. Where did you start in terms of cameras, and kind of where have you found that's taken you, and what do you think you really need in order to get to self-shoot? I know that was a lot, but let's maybe start with like just basic equipment that you feel you need to in order to self-shoot.
So Zhenya, my boyfriend, gave me one of his old cameras to use. He stuffed it in my backpack when I was visiting him in Chicago. He's like, "Take it home, and you'll like it, trust me." And I didn't really have much experience with cameras too much. I used a friend's camera before, but I was no photographer for sure. Um, and so I have a very old Sony A77, and it's got a 50mm lens on it, and the tilty flippy screen points forward if I want to, so I can see it. I have that, my remote, my tripod, and I am all set. That's honestly the basics. As long as you have somewhere nice to shoot. If not, then maybe a backdrop could help. Honestly, camera, tripod, remote, and I'm a happy person.
Awesome.
Like a cheap remote. Like mine is $9 from Amazon, and I know it because it usually ends up in the pool or something terrible happens to it. So I keep rebuying these $9 remotes from Amazon.
Hey, that's great advice though. I assume you're just buying this cheap wireless remote then?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very simple. It has 2 buttons, 1 second and 2 seconds.
2 seconds,
And that's
yeah.
it does everything for me.
Awesome. Kind of echo that I'm assuming, Allison.
Yeah, so I guess if you're just like a beginner, you literally just use your cell phone and something to set it on. A lot of tripods now like are made like with, well, obviously it's a tripod, but like you can get ring light tripods, the 2-in-1 things, and they come with a remote. But yeah, I'm working like my setup, I guess, for my photos, and this is like after upgrading. I took photos on a used that I got off Amazon, used Sony NEX5R, and it's this tiny little mirrorless point and shoot camera. It's so cute. I miss it. But it's on like a little display I have in my bedroom. But after upgrading quite a bit and some generous people, I was gifted the Sony A7 Mark III. Is it Mark III? I don't know. Yeah, it's a 3. A7 III, and I'm using a 50 1.8 lens. It's just a good lens for portraiture, pretty standard. I do wish I had something a little wider. But yeah, so this is my main camera. Heavy duty tripod for this. So I got the quick release here. And then I only shoot with natural light. And then sometimes a softbox, but I don't have any speed lights, that's the words. And I don't use a reflector or anything. So when I'm outside, or I guess anytime shooting, I'll have my main tripod with my camera and then another tripod with my phone on it, because Sony has an app, and so do most other camera companies now, that lets me use my phone as a remote, but I mainly just use it to set up all my settings through the app and use it as a monitor, and I'll have it slightly off camera or like out of frame. And then I have the really cheap $7-9 2-button remote that I can just throw around while I'm getting my photo, because if I'm leaning over constantly to tap the shutter button and shutter release on my phone app, then focus gets missed a lot in final photos. So it's nice to have something that's a lot smaller, and I don't feel bad about throwing.
That was a question Photography Bonsai came in with, which is I think pretty related here, is how are you getting focus where you want when you're shooting photos of yourself?
Oh my god. So when I used to shoot, I'm so pissed at Sony about this, because when I used to shoot on my crappy little NEX handheld camera, right? Sony had tap to focus on your phone, and they got rid of it. I don't know why they got rid of it, but they got rid of it. Yeah, she's just coughing. But they got rid of it. So it's literally focusing is a guessing game anymore. So that's why I have that other little shutter remote, is because at least from there I can see everything. I can get my composition, my pose, and everything right. And then I can hit it the 2 second, because I'll do 5 seconds here and then another 2 seconds on my remote. And then yeet it and get into pose. And hopefully it's in focus. But then I can go in here and check if it's in focus or not. So.
I actually mark where I think I want to pose with like a piece of tape. Because if there's anything I've found out with self-shooting, all of my photos are so sharp compared to like me shooting someone else. And so that's what I'll do. And it's really ratchet. So if I'm shooting up against like my wall or something, I'll put a piece of tape on the wall where I think my camera will see it. And then obviously I'm like way off. And then I'll move it. And then I'll move the focus point to where that piece of tape is. And then I know that that's where I need to like position myself. And it pretty much has worked 100% of the time. So that's how I do it, because I don't have a monitor.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have a bit of an older camera, so yours doesn't have an app. You don't have a flip-out screen. You probably are dealing with the most old school technology out of anyone here. So yeah, I was interested. That's how I did my like first self-shooting things, is I would mark it out with tape and then kind of focus and go back.
And the other thing I do is I have my full-length mirror propped up behind my camera, because I have it in live view, so I can see sort of what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I feel like
that's
that's really common though. I've seen a lot of people do that, Sarah.
That's because I don't have Wi-Fi in my camera, and there's no app, so it's like I don't really have a choice. Like that's like the go-to.
I like how much you guys are talking about. Even when you have an app, you're still using the wireless remote for it to trigger things. Because that's been my main problem is, even when I've been trying to do it, I'll have my my phone in my hand and I'll press the button. And because it's a touch screen, you kind of have to really look down and touch it, and it's so much harder. It's not like tactile where you can just kind of press it and not pay attention to it, drop it on the ground or whatever. That's the area I think I really need to pick it up. Even though the app makes a lot of things easy, a physical remote I think helps a lot.
I love the physical remote. I don't know if my camera, the A77 is old. I don't think there is any kind of app or anything for it. Even if there was, I'm honestly happy with what I do.
I think I'm sure it's compatible, the image editor.
Yeah,
Edge.
probably. Never bothered looking. I just use the remote, and for focusing, I just hope it's in focus. I set up it as wide focus. I set the screen to look at me, and I'm like, good enough. And I make sure I take every shot a couple times, and one has to be in focus statistically.
Hopefully.
And that's, I don't know. I'm like, something has to work. So that's it. I don't have a very good answer for that.
Rule of large numbers, just take a bunch and you're like, one of these has to.
One of them.
I hit a pose, hit it 6 times. Okay, next pose. One has to be in focus.
That's usually my approach when I'm shooting other people too, is I never press the shutter once. If I'm taking a photo, I always double press my shutter because I don't trust myself. It means I probably have double the amount of photos on my computer than I need to, but hey, whatever.
Gotta get the shot.
Yeah. What other tools have you guys kind of found that has really helped you out with self-shooting? Because obviously we kind of talked that, you can really make any camera work for you if you're willing to put in the time. But is there any other things outside of the camera that you're just like, oh, getting this really helped me out a ton?
Floodlights.
Drops. Lightroom.
Let's try that again. I'm going to go Megan first.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
No, you're fine.
Backdrops for sure are good. And Lightroom, because before, I don't even want to say how I was editing my photos before because it's shameful. It wasn't really editing. They were kind of what they were. So backdrops for just versatility, and then Lightroom for making things just look a little cooler. That's it.
How about you, Allison?
I love lighting in photos. So getting floodlights, I have really cheapo ones. I think they're maybe $15. I don't know, but they're RGB. I can change them. I love continuous lighting because when I'm sitting in front of the camera, I can easily see, oh, this color works really nice. That color works really nice. I don't have to worry about any gels slipping and sliding. But having 2 floodlights changes the photo so much because it just gives it that little extra oomph as if you were in a studio or working with a photographer. You have one slightly to the side of you and then another kick light or something over here, and you just get nice light and it's just great, and there's color in the photo, and I don't know. I love floodlights. They're great.
Oh yeah. And we kind of dug into this already, so maybe this is just going to be a little bit extra information, but how do you guys go about hiding your remotes? Just literally throwing it, Allison?
Throw it.
I've thrown remotes. I've thrown my phone because I've lost the remotes that I bought, so I need to buy some more. I just drop it. I'm just it's already breaking. I'm due for a new one. Goodbye. And but yeah, I just drop it. If I'm sitting down, I try and hide it behind myself. That's why timers are super important, I think, especially those remotes with the 2-second timer. It just gives you that extra little second to be yeet. Because they're so small, if you take it into Lightroom and Photoshop, you can just patch tool it out or clone stamp it out or copy paste a little selected section and paste it on top. it's a lot easier than dealing with a giant remote or like a giant phone or something like that. And they're not really reflective. Like these can the screen catches light weird and everything.
Yeah.
So.
Starbucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I actually had my remote on my desk. This is my remote. It's little. And
Mhm.
I also will throw it if I'm in a soft area, if I have to. I try not to, because that's how I got in the pool that one time. So for the most part, if I can just put it down, great. It's so tiny, it's not hard to edit it out. Like it takes a second and it's gone. But if I am holding it, easy things are hand looks like this, hand on the hip, and behind the head. Stuff it into my sleeve and press it like this as if I'm Spider-Man. Put it into my thigh high, whatever I've got, I try to hide it. And yeah, that works out pretty good. Sometimes you can clock it, but for the most part, you don't know where the remote is.
Right.
Awesome. I really appreciate these extra ideas, because I think that's probably what frustrated me the most when I was trying to do my own self shooting, was like, where the hell how do I hide this? And
Where
yeah.
do they go?
So awesome. Trying to think if I had any other questions in the equipment side of things. I think that pretty much sums up that area. I'm going to circle back to a question we got in chat just a little bit ago. This one was asked by Sakura Starburst, and specifically for Megan, although I think a lot of us can, or a lot of you guys could have your own thoughts on this, which is Sakura Starburst. I have a question for Megan. She mentioned having an issue with people not giving photos back after a while. Any tips how to politely ask photographers for photos that were the solution just jumping into self-shooting altogether? Do any photographers have any comments on what they find to be respectful and polite for clients to ask for photos, and what they don't? So there's a lot there. So, but Megan, I'll kind of put that up to you. Any way you go about asking?
I don't do it often because I know the answer is usually no, and I approach very respectfully. I'm just like, hey, I know we shot X, Y, and Z in the past. It's been 3 years. If you don't plan on editing them, you can give them to me. I'll tag you or whatever you prefer, or not tag you if you don't want to be associated with your older work that you didn't edit, whatever. And I offer it like that, and I don't really get any takers, I must say, which is fine because honestly, now looking back, I'm like, that's the old Megan. I probably hated my makeup back then. Like, it's not worth it. Um, So it's like it's fine now that I'm older and I look back, back then I was like a little more upset that I wasn't getting those photos, but now I'm like I'm a whole different person stylistically. So it's okay. I would just say approach it like that. Like if you don't plan on editing these, would you mind? And like just understand that they will say no most likely because it's their work and they feel attached to it, which I do respect, of course. Um so that's just kind of that from my perspective. I think just giving it totally like it's up to them kind of thing. Because I think I know photographers definitely understand, like, photography is like a two-way street where it's like two people are contributing, the model and the photographer, and they're both putting equal parts in. And so like the model will feel some type of way if like it's been years and nothing shows of their work. But then we also do respect that the photographers have a backlog in their own lives. So it's up to them because it is their art. But if you can just like bring it up in a very polite, open-ended way, the worst they can say is no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there.
I'm a different mindset.
No, totally. No, go ahead.
I think it's dependent on the situation. So if someone
Absolutely.
shoots me for free and I never get the photos back, like I don't really care. But also the person shot me for free, so I'm not really expecting
Yes.
any kind of photo return anyway.
That's what I was
Hey, if they
talking
show
about.
up,
Buy for free.
Yeah,
okay.
I was also
Sorry,
approaching
to clarify.
it from a free perspective. Yeah, that definitely changes things.
If you're
but
paying for it, that's different. I
But-
was talking about for free. Sorry.
go ahead, Sarah, because I think what you have to say here is important as well.
Yeah, but like if a photographer is like charging someone money, for photos and they don't get them back, then the cosplayer has every right to be like, hey, I paid you money and you were supposed to promise me these photos by this X amount of time or whatever. Like, cosplayers shouldn't feel uncomfortable to reach out to photographers who had a monetary exchange, because in my mind, once money is involved, it's not a hobby, it's more of it's transaction, right?
Yeah.
But this kind of brings up like the whole I don't work with photographers that don't have contracts and don't have like a really set bullet point of rules of what their sessions are like and what their promises are and blah 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 blah. So that's another thing to be aware of. I have a contract, so if you ever book me, I have a contract, you have to read it and sign it basically to confirm that yes, I understand Sarah's rules and that she'll return them 3 weeks after a con. But in that case, if I don't, then you can be like, hey, our contract said X, Y, and Z, and you totally didn't do that. Yeah, free photos, don't really give a shit. But if it's paid, I'd be way more upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry for not clarifying. I meant for free photos. Of course, if you paid for it, you have the right to have it.
Mhm.
Totally. I think the other thing for me, in terms of someone who has a stupid backlog and has done a bunch of free shoots, the fact of the matter is I probably will never be able to get to the entirety of my backlog. It just it's not gonna happen. But I think for me, when someone reaches out to me about still being interested in photos, especially if it's been a couple years, and I most of the time I still like a lot of the photos I've taken. They might not be my favorite, but I still have a desire probably to edit them, as I do most things. It's a relationship with time, not will. Where it's if I had infinite time, this wouldn't be a problem, but I don't have infinite time. So when someone contacts me and it's hey, do you have any chance you're ever going to get photos out from that? I'm usually not inclined to give out the photos for the cosplayer to edit, but it is oh, hey, they're still interested in these photos. Okay, I'll put them a lot higher in the list of things that I'm going to edit because I know they're still interested in these shots. So it especially because sometimes as the photographer, I'll edit something that's a little mildly older, and I'll give it to the cosplayer, and I feel like they're just cool, and you're just
Moved on from it.
yeah, and it's just okay, well, I like how these turned out, but maybe I shouldn't have put as much effort into these as I did because the cosplayer doesn't give a shit, relatively speaking. Which whatever, that's fine. I'm there's no one I'm spiteful or bothered by that, because whatever, they're old photos, and sometimes cosplayers are just not going to be happy with stuff that's decently old now. But yeah, it's just a helpful thing for me to be oh, okay, they still care. Yes, I'll get to those. So yeah.
Yeah. I guess my perspective on it is that I kind of always just give up on experiences like that. If I haven't heard back and it was a free shoot, I don't even really bother with it. I may ask maybe once or twice, in a 3 to 6 month window, right? But if it's been over 6 months, I'm just it's probably never happening. And if I want photos, I need to just do it myself. Other option is that if you're really good friends with a photographer and they have a backlog of let's say 5-ish years, you can always drive up to their house and force them to edit photos, what I would do with Andrew a lot. Or demand that, hey, remember that set we did in 2017 and that sweet armor build I made? Can I have some photos? I'll edit them.
Yeah, that can also work.
Potentially, depending on your own personal relationships.
That's great.
Yes.
You said that with such a straight face.
I mean,
I was oh.
It's almost like she's done that before.
I know, right? Weird.
Can't imagine.
I love it.
Nightshade, will this be available to watch later? Yes, I will be uploading this on YouTube later. Technically, I have to wait. I think it's 2 days before I can repost. Due to affiliate contracts with Twitch or whatever, but it'll be up in a couple days on YouTube. So, or you can just watch the VOD here. Whatever's easier. point being is you will be able to watch this later if you would like. I've got I'm going to switch ahead to a topic that I had later on, but I kind of think is related to this. So I think it's a fine time to jump into it now, which is working with other artists. This kind of maybe is a bit off of self-shooting and more onto kind of I wouldn't say quite cosplay from the business side, but just getting more out of cosplay and cosplay photography. And which is, have you guys ever been commissioned by other artists either to shoot other cosplayers or to edit other cosplayers' work?
Have we
Wait.
reached out, or have
no,
people
has
asked
people
us?
reached out to you guys as either to edit or to shoot, because you guys come from the cosplayer side of it, and now you've spent enough time behind the camera. Have you guys done any work?
Oh, I was like, Andrew, I already do that. I'm confused.
Well, yeah, clearly you do,
I
Sarah.
was like, what is this question?
Sarah, do you take photos of other cosplayers? I don't know.
Gross.
Yeah, I personally do a lot of photography with friends. I like being able to supply my friends with content for their feed. But I had an instance last year where I just felt like I was putting in a lot of time and effort into like giving other people content, and I felt a little overwhelmed and slightly used because a lot of the times it wasn't really reciprocated. But took back my free will and was like, nope, focus on my stuff again. So since then, I don't really shoot too many other people or put too much effort into photographing others or editing photos for others. Recently with my witch self photo shoot, I was really proud of those, and I posted it to just a modeling page I'm a part of, and I got a lot of responses from random models asking if I would take up photography and do boudoir looks and stuff for them, and I'm just like, man, no thank you, no thank you. Very nice of you to offer, but no thank you.
Thanks for the Fighting Dreamers photography bonsai. Megan, I'd be curious, have you ever gotten on the other side of the lens to shoot someone else?
So, I do it for friends for sure. If any of my friends want anything, I'm more than happy to. I'm not really interested in making money from photography as a photographer. I just want to do it for fun. Recently, I shot 2 weddings for my friends at work. You're gonna think I'm such Florida trash. They asked me what I wanted, and I said a Wendy's 4 for 4, so they paid me in Wendy's gift cards for shooting their wedding.
Wow.
Yes. Those are
I love
amazing.
it. That's important.
I know. The wedding was only a month ago, and I already used up all the gift cards.
Wow.
But yeah, so recently, because it's been coronavirus, my friends have had some small weddings at the beach. Very small, safe, of course.
Mhm.
And I did 2 wedding photo shoots so far for my friends, which was an absolute joy. And I refused payment for them because I wanted them to be a gift. Because honestly, getting money for photography of my friends doesn't do anything for me. I want to give it as a gift. And I won't really enjoy it, I feel like, if I'm doing this for money. Like, I wouldn't shoot someone I didn't know's wedding because I wouldn't be passionate about it like I was for my friends.
Mhm.
Of course, my friends are nice. They gave me gift cards. One gave me gift cards, one tipped me. That was so nice and totally unnecessary. I was kidding about the 4 for 4s, but they got me the Wendy's gift cards. So, no, I really enjoy
my
just
God.
giving my friends photos. Even recently at work, we started doing once in a while, I'll be like, okay, guys, bring a cute outfit after work on Thursday so we can change out of our scrubs and go take pictures somewhere in the plaza. And I just really think it's fun to give photos as gifts. So am I making money from it? No, but that's fine. I'm just enjoying doing something for my friends.
I will say, just because this kind of makes me think of it, as a photographer, if you kind of shoot enough, you will always have decent gifts to give relatives and parents and stuff for Christmas, because you're just always like, oh, why, yes, I do have a Christmas gift for you. Hey, who could have guessed it was a photo? But God, man,
sure.
relatives eat that shit up. So, I mean,
Mhm.
so kind of similar, but on the flip side, in terms of shooting, have you ever done any shooting where you've handed it off to someone else to edit for you, whether that was, they were just interested, or it was a paid gig where you shot and they edited?
Yeah, so I guess for my Patreon content this month, I was able to do one self shoot, but I wanted more content for this month, and so I hired Redeem Arts, my friend, to come out, and we shot 3 looks, and then he's in charge of editing all that stuff. And because he was able to do that for me, I'm able to start building up content for next month and start getting a backlog for the holiday season when I don't want to go outside and take photos in the cold. So I highly encourage it, especially now. It, like, if you're self shooting, it takes like a huge weight off your shoulders, because while he's out editing, I can be working on Paya, or I can start editing the stuff I've already shot for next month, maybe delve into a different project, etc. So it gives me a lot more free time, letting someone else take that one aspect away from me.
Awesome. Yeah, Megan, you have any experience in that, or are you just like such an absolute machine that you just crank them out before anyone else could possibly even think about editing a photo?
I mean, to be fair, my editing is definitely not as intense and amazing as Allison's. I think her style is amazing. I know she puts far more work in every photo than I do in a whole set. Like, so there's no comparison there. I'm like, all right, this is good enough. Get on Instagram. And I can tell she definitely puts a lot more like finesse in her photos. But I have handed off a photo only twice, and that is to my boyfriend. After I edited the photos, I realized I forgot. Okay, well, one is my wig was like not laying good. It like showed something, so I had him draw some hairs in. And then the other one is I forgot to wear my elf ears during my shoot and shoot, and I sent him the photos, and I sent him some photos of some ears, and like, please make this work for me. I don't want to reshoot this. And so I've only ever
Oh my god.
yes, thank you, Jenny. I've only ever handed it off for repairs, not really editing. But yeah, no, I pretty much
Wait,
edit everything.
wait,
else.
does
100% edit
does
everything.
Jenia edit photos ever?
Yeah.
That's wow.
Oh.
I had no idea.
I mean, he helps me out at least.
I'm just
sometimes.
throwing some shade. I'm just throwing some
Megan,
shade.
do you only
Love you,
edit?
Jenya.
You only edit in Lightroom, right?
Yeah, unless something's just jank and I need to use Photoshop. I don't know how to use Photoshop. I'm too old, not learning anything, tiny brain. Lightroom's all I got. So I
Okay.
have Photoshop, but that's for like liquefying things that are not in the
You
right
should just
spot, or
take
like a
your
clone
ear and
stamp.
just stretch the top of it with liquefy. I do that when I want.
You're right. No, the
I'm
problem
like,
was my ear wasn't
eh.
showing. It was behind the wig. You're so right though. But if my ear was showing, I would have done it. I
Oh.
really would have, because I would be like, I need this now. But no, I have Photoshop just for liquefy and for like stamp tool. And besides that, I don't know anything about Photoshop. I'm illiterate.
Awesome. I kind of had thought about this question earlier when we had brought it up, but part of the reason why I wanted to do this topic on self-shooting is it kind of like jumped into my head that this would be a good idea after we got another creepy dude photographer outed in my area. And God, it seemingly happens again and again and again. And it's terrible, and I desperately want to remove that from the community. But chances are that, unfortunate reality of life, it's probably going to be a part of the community, and it's something that we have to navigate around, and we can do our best as a whole, as a community, to see it and call it out and try and remove it and try and make it less prominent, but it probably always will be a problem. So I want to know from all you guys, how do you go about vetting your photographers? what steps to take and what that to make sure that you aren't ending up in a situation where you might be working with a creepy dude.
I only shoot with friends. I only shoot with people I've known for probably about 5 years. And that includes Vontography, FX
Don't shoot with that
D&D,
guy.
Redeem Art. Yeah, don't shoot with Vontography. And then Sono Photos. And I think that's really it, honestly, of the photographers I've worked with over the last couple of years, which that's only 4 people. And I see only a couple, I only see you guys ever a couple, maybe times a year, maybe twice at a convention. So and if it works out and we shoot, that's it. But otherwise, I don't shoot at conventions anymore. But what I used to do is just see any comments on their page or see their body of work. If I'm interested in working with someone, I might reach out to cosplayers that have worked with them before and see how it is. But yeah, otherwise I only work with people I've known for a long time, and I really just I just stick to that little group because that's who I'm comfortable with, and I'm not taking any chances on new people either. So can't trust anybody personally, but yeah. Trust no one. It's 2020.
I completely agree. Everything she said is the exact thing I do too. I only shoot with friends, the same people you guys all know. And I mean, if you catch me at a con and you ask for a quick shoot, I'll most likely say yes if I'm not busy. But if I get bad vibes, we're never doing that again.
Yeah.
So at a con, yeah, you can probably catch me around, and I'm usually willing to take pictures because it's a con, whatever. But if I have a reason afterward to not shoot with you, I'm not gonna shoot with you. If you gave me bad vibes, you're creepy, or I hear something afterward, or I'm like, maybe that person is someone I should not work with. But for the most part, just with friends, and that's works very well for me.
How about for you, Sarah?
This is always a loaded question.
I mean, it kind of is, but I think it's an important one, and I think there are plenty of people that, but I look at all of us here, and I kind of look, at Megan and Allison, your responses, which are great responses, but come from a totally different place of people who have been in the con scene for a while now and kind of know who you want to work with. And there's lots of people that kind of aren't in that position yet, or are just starting out that don't have that liberty. They're not like, oh, I've got 5 friends that I love shooting with and I know who they are and I'm shooting with them. And it kind of those situations are totally different. So I think it's an important question, even if it is a little bit loaded here.
So I'm going to start with the about finding new people to work with, for example, for people who are just starting out in this community, because I definitely fall back on people that I know to shoot, but I'm also really picky. There's a certain aesthetic I really want, and I know not everyone edits how I want them to edit, color wise and stuff. But recently, actually, I think it was at MagFest, I booked, I think he's in chat, Henteco JPEG. His work is really, really pretty. It's more narrative, so it's more focused on creating a story in a photo versus just kind of a
posing shot.
Yeah, a glamour shot.
Yeah.
Yeehaw.
And because that's my favorite type of photography. And my one friend who I used to book a lot, she recently moved back to Thailand, so she's obviously not accessible at all. But before I shot with Henteco, I did a lot of research. So I scoured his Instagram. He's gonna be so creeped out. Oh yeah, there he is.
Yeehaw.
So I went to his Instagram. I looked at his work. Another really good trick is to go to their tagged photos and see what cosplayers have tagged them in, because photographers usually only post their best work, and you don't really get a true idea of their full breadth of work. So I did that, and then he had a lot of mutuals that he had shot and people that I'm really comfortable with. So it's kind of and this is with another photographer. His name is Wesley Kyoku. He also has shot a lot of my mutuals that I know are very level-headed and are really smart about booking photographers. So just kind of like just based on who these people work with, and then I talk to them and be like, oh, how was it like working with so and so? Like, I'm interested in booking them for this, this, and this, and if they give me a rave review, then I'm like really, I'll just go try it. I mean, the worst case scenario is I don't get something back, or that I get something back and I don't like it and I just don't work with them again. I think like I feel kind of sad that the experiences that like Allison and Megan have gotten to the point where they don't reach out to newer photographers, because there are so many talented people out there who are really good and you can trust them. It's just finding them is the hard part. But that's how I try to find new people. I do a lot of research. Like I don't just go based on photo looks alone. Like any person can pick up a camera and learn how to do Photoshop and learn basic lighting things to make a photo look good. But if you're like a shitty human, like you can't figure that out by just looking at their photos.
Yeah. I think Mango Cause in chat says something that important that I'd like to echo, which is just because a photographer is popular does not mean that they are not creepy or what have you. So it's worth
don't
doing
let
the research.
That clout doesn't mean anything. There are a lot of popular photographers who are not great people, so you just need to do your research about that.
Sarah, I have a question. So how do you go about finding like the new generation of cosplay photographers? Because like maybe I'm just old, which I am, but like I feel so out of touch with like the like younger cosplay. I'm not even that old, but like just like the next generation of cosplay content creators. Like I have no idea what people are up to. So I'm just like, how do you even search people anymore? Where do you find people? Because it used to be such a smaller community that you could just identify people's work really easily. But now, obviously, it's just boomed and expanded so much.
There's like a couple things. One thing that I started doing recently was trying to cater down, and this is like, I don't mean this by any offense, just to like anyone who's on the stream, but like I started focusing more on like what kind of content do I want to see, because if I like that content, that means that they're probably working with photographers that I really like. So I started seeking out, like, it's not necessarily like a cosplay or like a fandom that I'm interested in, but the work that they're creating is like really, really pretty, and like that's how I found it. Like I follow like I have the people that I follow literally ranges from like strictly anime cosplay, strictly video game cosplay, boudoir, what's it called? What are they called? Fate cosplays, like all those gacha game cosplays,
okay.
all of those animes that revolve around like music, like that's really big in Japan right now, and that fandom is ginormous. That's how I found the newer photographers, because I was following a diverse group of people. I wasn't sticking to like just my usual, like, because I was mostly following like anime people, which can be pretty limiting. So that's how I did it. Also, Twitter's great just to find photographers.
Yeah, I think it's hard too, because like frankly a lot of photographers are fairly reserved and shy individuals, so trying to build up like a good community is very difficult here, because a lot of people here, like, it's not even that they're resisting being part of a community, but or kind of like being quote unquote well known or stuff, but just, man, we tend to be a bunch of awkward antisocial folks, so it's difficult. This is something I've been struggling with, because frankly I really want to build up a positive cosplay photography community. This is kind of going off the rails just a little bit in terms of our topic, so forgive me for going this direction. Something that's kind of been dwelling in my mind, which is I don't think some of the most popular cosplay photographers, in terms of like the people who have the widest reach, are necessarily great stewards of the cosplay photography community. They're not using it to bolster cosplay photographers, build a community here, and kind of build up something positive. I think that's a huge bummer. We're not like inspiring, quote unquote, the next generation or what have you. It's kind of using your own benefit for yourself, which whatever, I get that, but like I don't know. I think like the way I see it, cosplay photography has given me so much. I've built so many amazing friends. I've had so much fun with it that I want other people to have those same experiences as me, and I want to have a awesome, friendly, and fun relationship with the community and kind of build a positive place. And if the people at the very top aren't doing steps to build that up, I just don't know if it can happen. That's what I'm trying to like build
Well,
through
I
all of
think
this
I
kind of
think
stuff.
I mean, the thing is that it can happen. We just
Yeah.
need to stop catering to the people who are at the top. The
Yeah.
people at the top they're comfortable. They know that people know them well enough that they're still going to shoot and whatever. Like, that's fine. They can continue doing that. But like, it's just important to remember, like, they exist. I don't really care that they exist, to be honest. Like, that's not why I'm here. I'm here to have fun and form friendships. And if people want to learn more about, photography and cosplay for the sake of like, the craft and how to become like a community, like that I'm here for. And so I think like we talk about this all the time. I think with now, like, it's almost like conventions are going to have like a rebirth because of the pandemic, but but I think like it's our job is part of the community that we need to help like jumpstart this thing that you're talking about, Andrew, because it's never going to happen if no one does it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I'm trying to think of an example. It's like I've been watching a lot of YouTube drama channels because that's the only thing that entertains me like during the workday. And something that I've noticed is that I'm like, okay, if this mukbanger is causing so much drama, then why are you talking about them? It's like you mentioning them and working with them and catering to them. It amplifies their platform and it's not solving the problem. So, I've gotten personally over the past year like really strict. I'm like, look, if someone is just not on the same page as me in terms of like my cosplay philosophy, I just don't associate with them anymore. I don't work with them. I don't share their work. I don't boost them because I'd rather be sharing content that I care about and that I can relate to, and that is content that I think is healthy, especially for like the younger audience. Because coming into cosplay now, I'd be freaking terrified.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because like I don't want to blame social media as a sole cause for this, but like the way like social media I think was like in the early 2010s was a great connector for the cosplay community.
I don't even remember.
But as
before my time.
Yeah.
Early 2010s.
It was 2010.
Like 2010 to 2015. Like
no, because 20.
Oh, okay.
Like
okay.
that time period.
I started cosplaying in 2013.
Is that like cosplay.com?
No, I'm just talking like I'm just talking Facebook and stuff. Like Facebook, maybe early Instagram. I think they were positive, very positive steps for the cosplay community. I think there were some negative aspects of that as well. Like I'm not gonna pretend like there were whole cloth.
Well, no, but
benefits.
but the idea with social media that it's amplified those voices.
Yeah, and I think it allowed a lot of us to make more connections in terms of the community and build up a more positive like connection with everyone. But I think that's kind of been lost as social media has shifted in the weird ways it has, and kind of I feel like that community aspect is a little bit harder just purely with how social media shifted. This is a huge topic unto itself, so I don't want to dive too far into it, but I think that's part of it, and I don't really know the other aspects totally, but I don't know. Like all of this is to say that I think it's really important that we try and build up a positive community in cosplay photography, and like not treat cosplay photography as like and which I think some photographers do, is like, this is the thing that I'm doing and I have no interest in making connections with other cosplay photographers. I think that's a net negative for this hobby. And frankly, it's how I like pick up on dudes being creepy dudes if they're not interested in connecting with other cosplay photographers, then they're only interested in cosplayers. That's not a good look. So yeah, I don't know. Sorry to go off on a little tangent there, but
Before we end this topic, to go back to what the original topic was,
yeah.
I think because I was totally gonna answer it, but I forgot what it was, and now I just remembered what it is. It was I think someone in chat said something about like how do you vet
Yeah.
for your photographers or something.
Yep.
Oh, so something I started doing, which I think is really fun, is I started asking clients for reviews of my work, or not of my work, reviews from people who have worked with me, and to ask for like their overall experience. And they need to have worked with me at least a few times, because I don't think it's fair for them to review me if they've only worked with me once, because I mean, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I actually have a bunch of reviews, like on my Instagram page, for example. It's like in those
highlights.
Yeah, that. And so I basically send my clients like a Google Doc, and then they fill it out and they put their thoughts. And then I basically designed like a slide that shows like the photo from the shoot that they're referring to, so people can also see the work that I produced for them that they're talking about. And then like words that they had said, and then whatever. That helps a lot. I think it's helpful. I don't know. I would like to read more reviews about what it's like to work with other people.
And frankly, I think it's helpful, like, for me to know how, like, as a photographer, to know how, cosplayers have worked with Sarah, how she works, what they enjoyed about that process is also beneficial to me. Like, because I can be like, oh, that's interesting. I really like her approach for that. Like, that's great. So I think that's, once again, a net positive all around.
I haven't looked. Where is it? Oh, here it is. So I'll show an example on screen somehow.
See how it comes through here.
So I created this template. So this is Jack Arufu, who I've shot a few times, and they sent me. So I sent him a Google Doc about like what's it like working with me, and the questions are really, really like basic. They're like, what was your experience like? Is there anything I could have done to improve your experience? How would you rate working with me overall? Can you please rate my turnaround time? Oh yeah, I have photo experience rating and then photo turnaround time rating. So I have that too.
I like Crimshade saying it almost looks like a trading card.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
It does, yeah.
It does. That's cute. But anyway, these were really fun to put together, but because we're not shooting anymore,
yeah,
I don't have any new ones.
I will echo something Nick said in chat quite a while ago, but just never got a chance to really insert it, which is if you're working with someone new, never go to that photo shoot alone.
Please don't.
If the person is asking you to come alone, do not go to that shoot. Do not go to that shoot. Frankly, unless you're like super close with that person, don't go to your shoots alone. Like, just ever. Like, God, dudes are terrible. So
common sense, you guys.
Just don't go to shoots
Would you go
alone.
meet a stranger by yourself?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah, don't go to shoots alone. It's a very important thing. Okay,
No,
got my 10 minutes on this thing. Hate that hat. Okay. I think that's enough of that specific topic. I want to talk about something that we had brought up. Kind of, I think it was it me? I don't remember who brought it up. But it's enlisting help. So I know early on, I think you guys have gotten it down to a better science now. But I want to know how you guys who you got to help you, how you got them to help you when you needed help with your photography. We're gonna start there.
Megan?
Okay. I'm always afraid to talk over somebody. Well, before I had my camera, my mom took my photos with my cell phone. And that worked decent because she had the big screen to look at. But like it's a cell phone, it was all right. I have a very old phone, so like it would have been better if I had a newer phone, I'm sure. Like anybody with a modern phone nowadays can definitely do a great job of being their own photographer. But then when I got the A77, my mom doesn't understand that she has to like actually look pardon, through the viewfinder at me. So I'm just like, I don't know how she does it, but like somehow if I'm in the frame, I'm happy. I know she's not gonna use an artistic vision or any kind of like skill to take the photo. I'm lucky if I'm in it. And if I'm in focus, wow, it's an amazing day. I don't care what she does as long as I'm in the picture. I'll crop it and do everything I can afterward to fix it. I'll try to give instruction, but my mom's like super not about the photography thing, to be honest. So it's kind of like it doesn't inspire her. So I'll be like, take a picture, let me look at it. Okay, let's change this, try that. I'll give her instruction, but yeah, for the most part, the photos are interesting. When I get them into Lightroom after they're edited, they're fine. But that's like, I either have this much space above my head and 7 feet below me, or usually that. So yeah, I just do my whole best. If I really need her help, I can't do it like 100% by myself. I just know that those photos might need an extra a little love to get them to where they're ready.
So a really good trick I've developed is because I've had some people try and help me take my photo, but they literally they don't even know how to use a camera, kind of like your mom. I'll make them model for me, and I'll take the photo that I want, like exactly how it is, and all the camera settings are there. They literally don't have to do shit. All they gotta do is press the shutter, and like that's it. And so I'll show them the photo, and I'll be like, look. See this picture of you. This is how I want to look on the other end. So just look. And that's helped a lot.
Yeah. A great idea.
Yeah, that was a big reason why I got my A7 was because it has an eye autofocus and it will pick up on eyes in frame. And so that means I can just hand my camera off to anyone that's helping me and be like, okay, you need to hold this button. It's going to focus on my eyes and then take the shutter. And I still get blurry photos back. But the whole process thought process is at least like there's that safety net I can fall into that maybe I'll like majority of my photos should be in focus because the technology is there. You just got to hold the eye autofocus button. But yeah, I'll set up all of my settings. I'll take test shots, like lighting test shots of whoever's helping me. And then I'm like, okay, we got the photo. We're moving on to this pose. It should look like this. I want me taking up this amount of the frame. My arms will be here. I'm going to be looking over my shoulder. I super director creator mode. And if it's not perfect, we do it and do it and do it again.
So how much does your boyfriend hate you?
He despises me. He doesn't have a creative bone in his body. Like he can't cut a straight line on paper. So like he's not involved in cosplay whatsoever. He doesn't have any form of social media. He doesn't see anything that happens on the internet. And so he's just so out of touch with everything. And I have tried sitting down with him and being like, okay, do you have time to go do the shoot? Sunsets at this time. I don't want to be out in public alone. Like, can you just go with me? Please, please, please. Can we do this? Like, please, can you help me? I found this great location in the back of an alley that works perfect for Tifa, but like it's a short skirt and I don't want to go out alone. Please. And after a lot of begging and frustration on his end, he'll come and help me.
Fine, Allison. Salt Syrup asked us in chat, do you guys prefer autofocus over manual focus in these situations then?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
100%.
pretty solid across
No
the board
question.
there. Yeah. Yeah. I think that kind of you guys already dove into the next part, which was, trying to get how do you work with people who have no artistic sense?
Oh, I
or
thought that was
camera
the
knowledge.
question.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
I mean,
yeah.
honestly, it was kind of it was where I was headed, so it worked out.
Well, I
um,
already said my answer, so
yeah.
Yeah, like I will go in like when I'm prepping any shoot that I'm really obsessed with the idea of. So like Tifa, my Witcher boudoir series I did earlier this year. I'll gather photos all over the internet and make some sort of like collection of photos that inspire what I want to do. And then I'll share them if Dan might help me or if I'm doing it by myself or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so we're gonna get this pose. I need this pose, and then I have like standard poses I just go through in general. And so it should be a really streamlined process, but I just make sure that whoever is helping me is like there's a very clear direction, and that way they don't really have to worry about too much. Like creatively or anything like that. I just take full reign and I'm just like, okay, yep, we got that shot. Moving on to this one. It needs to be farther away and it needs to be at a low angle. Hold the camera at chest height and tilt it back a little bit to make me look taller, please. And I'll stretch and hopefully it works out.
I do something similar with my
Sorry.
mom. I just can't like have her do all that because I can ask her like for one task at a time. I'll be like, okay, stand where I want to be, look at it, okay, and I walk her to exactly where I want her to stand to take the photo. Make her to stand here, and I hold the camera at the height I want her to hold it at. I'm like, now hold it and take the picture, and it goes all right.
That's kind of amazing. So kind of off that same question is, do you have certain shoots that you're just like, I care more about getting help than I do about things getting artistically perfect? Or like, how do you decide which cosplays you want someone to help you with, or is it really whether the help is available or not, or what goes into that decision?
For me, anytime I'm cosplaying not necessarily because I like the character, but because I've created some sort of like artistic vision of in my head of what I want to do.
Mhm.
So depending on that vision, if it's like the Witcher series where it's a boudoir set, so I can do that in the privacy of my own home, or like the Tifa photos where I need to be out in public. That's how I'll decide, I guess. Like it's all mainly about the concept and if the
Yeah.
character is like skimpier dressed in public, like I definitely want people around because there's certain characters like Megan said earlier, like you just become like a spectacle and that gets really distracting and like you just want to avoid being a scene and making a scene in public at all costs.
Yeah, makes a ton of sense. Megan, how about for you? Or are you kind of to the point where you're all just pretty much completely shooting all your own shot stuff?
If my mom can help me, if she can pencil me in, I am more than happy to like go to a park or something because I really don't like going out in public by myself. I used to do it. I was far more bold back in the day. Now I hate it. So I'm just like, you know what? It's to the point where I'm gonna get in costume. I'm gonna ask my mom if she wants to help me. If the answer is no, I'm setting up the backdrop. If the answer is yes, we're getting in the car, we're going to the park. So there's definitely some characters where I'm like, I really want an outdoor shoot at this location. And I know that's what I want. But depending on if I can get the help or not, it's like, okay, I'll settle or I'll wait for Zhenya to come down. But if the character really needs it, I try to push for it. I'm like, okay, well, when are you available to help me? When
Mhm.
can we go? Um, so yeah, not sure if that answered the question, but I mean, ideally, like, I would love to be. I will sacrifice my creative control for being able to get a shot in a location instead of a backdrop, just because I really hate going out there alone. So, yeah.
Makes a ton of sense. Um, uh, I think that's good on that topic, and with that, I think we're good to take a short break here. So we will be back in 5 minutes. You guys don't go anywhere. We won't be jumping quite into chat Q&A because I've got a couple more topics for you guys, but we'll get there soon. But for now, we will be back in 5 minutes. See you guys shortly. Don't go anywhere. There we go. Awesome. We're back. Normally I switch it immediately into chat Q&A, but not this time. So my normal button didn't work. I had to fix that. So let's jump right back into things here. Next topic up for you guys I have is posing. So, I mean, posing is a huge topic in cosplay in general, but when you're shooting yourself, I'm curious, how do you guys keep things fresh and kind of prevent it from poses getting stale on you and keeping up with kind of new and fun poses?
I feel like I don't.
I don't.
Because I'm putting out so many photos every month, like almost every set, you can see that there's like the poses are very similar because it's easy to get those shots and I'm in that routine now. It makes me sick to my stomach sometimes because I'm like, where's the artistic vision, Allison? But it's really difficult to just figure out something new when
Totally.
especially when it's like boudoir stuff, right? That's like, it's so repetitive. When it's actual cosplay shooting, it's, in my opinion, a lot easier to get into more what would the character move like, how would they pose. But a lot of the times I don't really rely on posing necessarily to set, like, it sells the image, but I really rely on colors and my lighting and stuff to really, like, I guess, change the look of everything to make things look different, kind of. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah. How about for you, Megan?
Fuck, I don't either. I don't know. I just have my tilty flippy screen face me. I'm like, whatever looks good in the frame. I either move back and forth or the camera back and forth, like the tripod, and I look how I look in the viewfinder, and I'm like, well, if I like that picture, cool. If I don't like it, let's just move slightly. And I guess that's just all I really do. I'm not doing anything too. I don't know. I guess sometimes I have things in mind, but for the most part, I just go there. I'm like, well, let's just see what happens, and just like the natural like flow of everything hopefully just takes over. And luckily, I do see a essential tiny preview of the image staring right back at me, so I can always be like, oh, I don't like that my arm's pressed against my body. Let me separate it so it's not squishing. Or like, oh, if I'm like certain way, you can't see like the cool details on the outfit, so let me adjust it. It's all like very live when it happens.
In kind of a similar vein, do you guys practice your posing at all, or you just kind of, because you're shooting so much, do you just go for it?
I just go for it. I'll put on like, I know what I want out of the shoot before I take photos. And like, if I'm at home here, like, I'll play music that I feel like kind of represents the mood that I want to portray, and hopefully, like, me just vibing with the music, like, gives me pose ideas. But other than that, no, I don't practice. I just wing it. Just go. Just do it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, same. I just do whatever I think is gonna look good. Like, I'm like, all right, that looks good, cool. I'm not really, I don't know. Yeah, I don't really practice. All the practicing is definitely recommended if you feel like you need it for sure. I just at this point, I'm just like, this is fine.
Yeah. But I think over time, after doing it so often, you learn, like, oh, my head is way too back and it looks like snap my neck, or like, oh, I definitely need to, like, to make this pose work, I definitely should lower the camera thing, and oh, maybe I need to push the camera back because my arms are slightly cut off, or like my legs are cut off too much at a certain spot, because like, it's hard, but yeah. It's, for me, it's really hard because I don't have a lot of space. Like, when I'm shooting inside, I'm limited and I have the widest lens. So I'm a lot more mindful of, like, what's getting cut off and how far back I can push my camera, because I can always crop in if I need to make everything look better in the photo. But if I'm doing, like, a tight photo and, like, portrait, it's just like, okay, too far back, pull that elbow in or out, maybe up. Don't squish this one like mine said. Push it out or twist.
So what I'm actually really interested about now, that you both kind of had a similar response is how has shooting yourself so much and really kind of focusing in on your own posing for yourself, how has that affected when you're posing for other cosplayers or not other cosplayers, other photographers when they're shooting you and giving you direction? Do you kind of have like an idea like, actually, no, this is going to not look as good and I know what, or do you just kind of follow along or where do you go from there?
I freak out because like I'm so used to now seeing myself on this screen and I can immediately change it. Just having someone behind the camera that like I can't immediately correct myself and maybe they're not giving me feedback as I would like. But like when I'm working with someone else, like it's a collaborative thing, so I don't want to be like ruining what they're visioning either. So I try not to step over anyone's toes. But I'm just like, is this okay? I'm not getting any feedback, or if you're not with me, if you're not very like, okay, torso needs to be this way, hips that way, pop your hip more, like do something different with your arms. If you're not really giving me a lot of direction of what you're envisioning, it's really difficult for me to work with someone else anymore, just because I'm so used to being able to see what's going on and immediately fix it. That way, yeah.
I mean, I think without the practice of you self-shooting so much, like that's a bad photographer. Like if a photographer is not giving you any kind of direction,
Oh, totally.
like they're not doing their job at all. So like even if you weren't doing all that self-shooting and were so like self-aware of your body and how it moves and what looks good, like yeah, I've worked with photographers before that are just like they're so quiet. They don't say shit. And you're like, do I look like a dead duck or like what? I don't know like what's going on. So that's just a bad photographer.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
not you doing anything bad or like you feeling like you need to step on their toes. Like if you need to tell a photographer to be like, hey, can you like fucking tell me what to do? You got to do it.
I would echo that. And as a photographer, one thing that I've found super helpful is just talking when you're shooting. Like, even if it's nothing, like, even if you're like almost fibbing, my biggest thing is when I take a photo and that shot that I took actually looked like absolute ass. I'm just like, okay, yeah, it looks good. I want to change some stuff though. Like I
do the same thing.
Yeah, I never like take the photo and go like, unless I'm working with my closer friends, I'm like, oh fuck, this is terrible. Like that's not a thing. Like I'm like, oh yeah, it looks great. Let's make some changes. Oh yeah, looking good. Like it's kind of weird how just that like slight talking can fill the void and make things feel less uncomfortable and weird. So highly recommended. Okay. Let's jump into creativity. So you guys are putting out a ton of content, and I know kind of from poses you talked about it being a little bit difficult to come up with new stuff, but how do you have creativity in kind of those other situations? Let's kind of talk about location first. Specifically, how do you guys make more mundane locations work for you?
A difficult one. I use a lot of locations that can be kind of boring, like around the house. Not so much anymore, but I definitely used to. But one of the best things I recommend for people who are thinking of doing this at home is like if you are at your house and you're not comfortable leaving to go take photos and maybe like certain parts of your house you just don't think will look good for photos. Backdrops are on average maybe $15 to $18 on Amazon. They're 5x7, and you can take a lot of really great photos, mostly like portrait or 3/4 shots, like from like the mid thigh up or whatever. Um, Easily with those, and that's a good way to like use the space you have personally. Um, that's like the most important thing I can think of for like just like if you want to be at home like me and never leave your house, get a backdrop or get a bunch of them. Like people think I have a green screen. It's just I have a little like storage bin in my garage, just backdrops folded and stacked up, and I love them. Like they are one of the best things I own because I don't have to leave my house to take pictures. Now, are those pictures as like interesting as a location shoot? Depends. I think it really just depends. What you're looking for and like what the feel is. But at least, it's something I can do easily at home and get predictable, solid results that I like with.
Um, this question had come in beforehand from Ara, and they were asking, how do you deal with not getting the results that you have in your head?
So every time I take photos, I like doing everything gets really overwhelming and stressful. I kind of went on a little rant about it earlier, but it eats up a lot of time. And like every time I'm done cosplaying and posing, my body hurts and I'm tired. I'm mentally exhausted and drained from having to organize so many different things. And most of the time when I'm looking at photos, I like look at everything and I'm like, yikes! Like, what was I thinking? What was I doing? Why did I do that? This is don't want to have to go out and reshoot this, but like I'll just take my camera and I'll set it aside and I'll look at it the next day or a day after, and then like your head refreshes a little bit and you're distanced from that mindset and the tiredness that you experienced, and it's just like the fog has lifted and you're like, oh yeah, so this yeah, this is pretty good, I can do this, yeah, that's workable, fix this and that, and like, oh, this would be really cool if the color scheme was like this or whatnot. And so it happened for me. It happens a lot more than you'd think, especially when I hand my camera off. I get really nervous because that's control that I don't have over the photo and the end product. So I'm just like, oh god, how much am I going to have to save? So it can get really tiring and really draining, but like the moment you distance yourself and let just the photos sit for a day, it's always helped me in being like, well, yeah, I can do this. Like this one's gonna work. That one will be fine. I can post this and that. So.
Sorry,
I learned
we all got distracted by Mochi.
My Mochi!
Young one, come here. Goodbye.
No, come back!
Mochi's like, I don't care.
Bye. She sits by the door all the time.
Cute.
She likes hearing people come and go.
I learned it the hard way about what not. Okay, so wait, I need to get my thoughts together. Because I just started self-shooting. I think I've only done 3 self-shoots so far, I think, in quarantine. And the first one I did, I'm a dumbass. I was like, I really want a new photo for the Fire Emblem anniversary. So I was like, I'm going to have my first shoot be me wearing full body armor and a cape and an eye patch, because apparently I thought that was a smart idea. Well, I was a dumbass. Anyway, so I did it all in one day. I like set up my lights, did the test shot, put on the cosplay, did the shooting, looked at the photos, but also I kind of procrastinated, so I had to edit a photo like that day for me to have it for the next day.
Right.
Yeah, so that taught me to like fucking never do that ever again. Don't be me. So now I do everything in stages, but this is also kind of me adapting to like my quarantine mood swings of like feeling creative and being able to like want to do something that involves cosplay at all. Like the Celeste photo shoot that I did, I think that was the second one I did.
I love that.
That was
Mhm.
great.
It's so pretty.
It's so beautiful.
That took a week to do because every day I would just do like a thing to help me prep for the photo. So like Monday, I like put up my backdrop and then put down like a comforter because I knew I wanted it to be like clouds or whatever, and then did all the stuffing. And then the second day, I set up my lights and how I think I wanted the lights to be, and then just did some test shots, like not me in it, but of just like the scenario. And then the third day, I did test shots with me in it because I liked the lighting, how it looked. But then when I saw it on me, I didn't like it. So I was like, fuck, I gotta change it. So I did that. And then the fourth day, I started, I can't draw. Okay, so let me just preface with this. I can't draw to save my life. But I do a lot of thumbnail drawings of what I want my photos to be. So I at least have like a vague idea to what my body should like maybe be doing. I don't know. So I did that. And so then by Friday night, I had everything completely like set. Like I knew my lighting was good, my environment was good. So all I had to do was like put on the costume or whatever and take the photos. I think doing it in steps really helps. And I know, like, I mean, I'm not putting this out for Patreon or anything, so I don't really have a deadline. So I know this is not feasible for everyone, but I think, just doing it in steps. Like, I didn't even look at the photos after I took them on Friday. I didn't look at them until Saturday because I was like, I don't want to, I got enough. I shot like 250 photos or something. I was like, there's gotta be at least one in there that's like, okay. Yeah. Doing it in stages, I think, helps. But also, it's so exhausting. I'm tired just talking about it.
And on the 7th day, she rested.
On Sunday, I slept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of pre-production. I think pre-production is very important, and I think it's a step in photography in general that's often overlooked.
Totally.
Because I don't know, like a lot of us don't go to art school and learn about the term of pre-production and what that entails. But if your pre-production is good, you will have a higher success rate of getting something that you want.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I don't know if that answers Ara's question at all, but
whatever. I think it was close enough.
I tried.
So I want to talk now. We kind of talked about location shooting, and both Megan and Allison, you guys talked about never really wanting to go alone in those situations when you're out shooting. My question for you guys is, how do you go about picking your locations? Are you trying to like find areas that you think are super low trafficked, or what goes into picking a location where you're going to self shoot?
So it's always about like what's gonna fit the character best. What's gonna give for me the best atmosphere, and when I'm working and posing in front of this area, am I gonna get into what I'm posing in front of? But I get really specific with it. So I'll drive around. Like my city has like an industrial district, and there's lots of like small brick alleyways that have like I don't lots of piping and stuff outside them. So I happened upon this alleyway where it was a one-way alleyway, and it's in this district where no one really goes except the people that are working there. And so I'm like, okay, I'll drive by it during business hours, see what the traffic's like. I'll drive by it when the lighting I want is there. And then, like, am I going to drive by on a weekday? Am I going to go on a weekend? I kind of avoid doing things on weekends in general in public because more people are out and about. But yeah, I'll do the same thing. So like tennis peach costume, I'm going to go to a tennis court because that makes the most sense to me. But yeah, I will scout and I'll do drive-bys and I'll be like, who's here? What's the public look like? Is this character more family friendly? Like, is it going to be accepted if I'm in public like this? Do I have like any sort of prop that probably shouldn't be seen in public? Like weapons? Like, it's all things I take into consideration because it's like, well, if I want to shoot or like use my sniper rifle for my quiet cosplay, I should go somewhere really isolated because I don't need anybody seeing me looking like this in a bikini and army gear, and no one needs to see me carrying around a paintball gun or airsoft gun. And so I just scout, and then once I find those places, like I kind of reuse a lot of the same locations a lot of the time because yeah.
I definitely reuse the same like 3 locations just because like if I'm able to enlist help, my mom does not want to be far from home and she doesn't want to be out for very long. And I don't want to go by myself, so I'll take what I can get. But I basically reuse the same couple locations. A park, another park, a parking garage. Cool, we got it. So when I'm actually planning for like locations now, I pretty much plan for like Chicago when I go to visit my boyfriend. I'll like well, obviously not right now because
Yep.
what's going on with the world. So this is for the future. But I like plan like, oh well, we can go to Indiana and shoot this, or we can go to like the Japanese garden and shoot that. We can shoot this with the graffiti. We can shoot this in the city. So right now I'm like, hey, a Southwest ticket. I get to bring pretty much unlimited luggage to Chicago. So I'm like, whatever I can stuff in there. So right now for Florida, I'm not planning too many photo shoots here just because like I'm doing all that planning. I'd like someone to help me that definitely has like a more artistic eye. So
Yeah.
I really only plan if Jenya's coming here if I'm going to Chicago. Um, so yeah, I don't have a lot of planning really going on, especially right now with the world situation.
Yeah. Makes total sense. Um, yeah, that's kind of about what it's always hard to answer given the space we're in right now in terms of it, where it's just like, well, everything's a little weird, so the answer is not
Yeah.
maybe what it used to be, but hey. Yeah. I wanted to kind of jump into one final pre-planned topic, and then we'll jump into questions from chat here, which is workflow. And this is maybe less so about self-shooting and more about you guys, since you put out so much content. How do you go about doing your whole process, like planning, shooting, editing? How do you kind of plan that out and keep yourself on track?
Megan, go first because I'm super curious about your workflow. You're like constantly putting stuff out. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
So I guess a lot of my stuff is not pre-planned. I'll be like, well, I have nothing to do today, so as soon as the light's good, I'm getting into makeup, I'm shooting.
You're
So
amazing. Holy shit.
it depends on the days. No, so it depends on the day. So like let's say if it's before daylight savings time, like as soon as daylight savings, my shoot schedule is going to change a little because usually when it's nice and light outside in Florida until like 8 something, I can, if I don't work crazy overtime at the lab, go home, makeup immediately, scrubs off, makeup on, costume, shoot
God.
outside. When the sun is setting, makeup off,
What
sit
a
down,
freaking
import,
trooper.
edit.
Jesus.
Everything's usually done the
real.
same day. And like on the weekend, sometimes I'll be like, okay, well on the weekend I want to shoot this and this. I usually do. I'm trying to slow down, but I'd say I wouldn't be surprised doing 3 a week. Trying to slow that down though, because that's a lot, and I think that's probably not great. I don't know. It's fun, but I'm like, I gotta find something else to do. So I don't know. That's really just it. It's just like sometimes I'll plan for the weekend. But for work, it's like, or sorry, for the weekdays, if I happen to get out of work at a good time, well, maybe I'll do like a makeup look when I get home, or maybe I'll shoot this costume that just came in like the other day. Sometimes when things
Oh
come in, I
my
shoot them the same day
God.
they get in here. It's very often where I get like an Amazon package and it's opened, shot, and edited 12 hours later.
Bless
What
your
a
soul.
powerhouse.
See,
Holy
this
no,
is
like,
part of the
honestly,
reason why you were the, when I thought of self shooting, you were at the very top of my list because you were the absolute powerhouse person when it comes to this. I genuinely don't think
But
anyone
surprisingly,
puts out more content, especially
No.
like,
Or at least at like the level of like quality, like
Yeah.
DSLR content.
yeah,
oh,
there might be more people putting
thank
out
you
like
guys, thank you.
selfie bullshit,
Yeah.
or there's other people who they have their like significant other that they're living with who is constantly working with them. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're incredible with this. This is why I was so interested in kind of how things work for you. Oh,
I
Sorairo-Days,
just want to
thanks
preface
for the
though, I
resub.
don't do crazy editing. I don't
Yeah.
do crazy editing. I mean my editing is like soften skin, whiten eyes, whiten teeth, edit out imperfections, make things pretty. I'm not going super
was a
super
gift.
crazy like I think most other people are. So I'm able to go pretty fast.
Mhm.
And honestly, edit the photos just kind of like for me. Most of my stuff never gets posted, not even on my website or my Instagram, just because like if I shoot so many things get like swept into the back eventually. So I have like a huge posting backlog, unfortunately. But like if I ever like want to retire like today, I guess I'll have posts for the next like 30 years in my
Jesus.
phone for
Wow.
like
So-
just photos that haven't gone up yet.
One quick interrupting, Wolfie. Thank you for that gift
Okay.
sub to Sorairo-Days. Appreciate you, dude. I'm really curious though, Megan. How I'm assuming you're scheduling posts out. How?
I stopped kind of using my Facebook for scheduling. So
Yeah.
I don't really use my Facebook anymore. I'm trying to like chill with social media because I feel like with quarantine and everything,
Yeah.
mental health, I think it's best for me to kind of like chill with social media because like I was using it too much as a crutch and I felt that wasn't healthy. So I'm
Mm.
trying to do like other things outside of that. So I don't really schedule my Facebook anymore. I don't use Twitter. I stopped using most of my stuff besides Instagram. And even then, I don't schedule on Instagram. I wake up in the morning and then I either post while I'm still laying in bed before I get up for work, or I post at work before like work arrives, like our samples for the day. And just whenever I feel like I just scroll through. I'm like, that one's going up today, and I just post it.
Interesting. I would
Yeah,
assume
there's
to
no rhyme or
do.
reason. It's just chaos.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. That's super interesting to know. Yeah, no, because I feel like when we talked about this a while ago, you'd been kind of scheduling things out, but that's really interesting to know
On
that you switched
Facebook,
off it.
for sure.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I don't know I don't know how to schedule on Instagram if that's
it's
even a thing,
kind
but I'd
of,
rather it not. I love the daily chaos.
frankly, it's kind of baffling to me that Instagram and Facebook don't have better scheduling tools for posting.
Oh,
Uh, y- y-
Facebook's is the worst,
you'd think they would have a better system for this, but nope.
of course, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
baffling. Um, but Allison, do you have a kind of? I'm imagining you have a bit of a different system for yourself here.
So different. So I don't really produce like everything's mainly for Patreon at this point. And then I'll pick a few photos that I'll share publicly, right? But so for a long time, I was really struggling with organizing, I guess, myself. And like I had a heart to heart with Andrew's wife, Stephanie, as we do. And like she really convinced me to get a planner because
Bless her.
I don't know what yeah, seriously. But I don't know what it is, but for me, I always remember things a lot better, or I stick to things a lot better when I write things down. So like what I do a lot, like it's like this has got like a whole month by month thing here, right? But then I can go in by week and like I'll put little stickers in here and like I'll have like goals for the week. I'll write down, okay, this day I want to shoot this costume. I need to do this. And like really try and commit to a written schedule. Sometimes it gets tricky because a lot of times I get like cool boudoir shots outside. I have to see, okay, is anyone going to be at my family's farm? Because it's private land, right? And like, I'm just a really private person. Especially now that it's hunting season, there's hunters out. But, so has anyone like claimed a week or something in our family's schedule for that space? It's 20 to 30-minute drive away from. So do I want to take a day to go out there and set up a set inside, or do I want to like if I want to shoot outside like my Valkyrie set or the witch set, I already know kind of where I'm gonna shoot, but then I have to figure out, okay, what's the weather gonna be like this week? And that's just up to Mother Nature to decide, really. And like today, it was supposed to be cloudy and cold, but it turned out being a pretty decent day. And so I kind of feel like an idiot because I want to go shoot another look this week. But I feel like I missed an opportunity today because weather told me something and it turned out to be something totally different.
Yep.
But once I get kind of like everything like figured out, it's just a matter of actually committing to it and like, am I in the good headspace that day to actually work and commit and get things done? Because sometimes for me, like one thing can set everything wrong, which is really awful, but it's the truth of the thing. So a lot of times things get rescheduled, but once everything's been shot and everything, shooting for me, I only do like 1, maybe 2 looks during a session, and that's over the course of like 5 hours. And then I'll probably drive myself home. I might do culling that night. If I feel good about the photos, I'll cull them and probably color grade because I love color grading. It's like my favorite step. I love it. And I'll do those things in Lightroom, and then I'll just export them to like Photoshop and do all my retouching, and I'm done. Because like all my sets, like a whole set of one costume or look will look the same. It will have the same lighting. It will have the same colors. So I can batch set really easily, and then it's just a matter of like, okay, retouching, fixing things, getting rid of phone, tripod, cords, etc. that might be in corners of shots. So yeah.
Awesome.
A lot slower. I only ever do like 3 things a month versus Megan here. That's dishing them out weekly.
Well,
Jealous?
my stuff is just like it's just kind of just out there. I don't know. I'm not like I'm just kind of just doing it just because it's fun. I definitely think
Yeah.
you put like a ton of artistry in yours, and like you just produce such amazing work. I think I'm happy with my quality, but I know I'm definitely quantity over quality as like a creator just because I like being busy. I really like having something to do. So if I'm not like shooting or editing, it's like, well, what am I doing? I feel like I'm wasting my day if I
Yeah.
didn't do something creative. So I don't know if it's good or bad the way I do things. I do enjoy it though, so I guess it's fine.
Hey, yeah. If you're having fun with it, then hey, that's
what
a
matters.
win. That's a total win. Okay.
Hang on. I'll get stuck in like a loop sometimes though. Like Megan, I know you said you make content that you like, right? And I really like doing that with my work too. Like I like adding little like specific, or like I like being like very like I'm proud of this thing, right? I'm sure you feel the same way. And like I'll ask, or like I'll talk to Andrew about like something I'm unhappy with in the photo, and it'll be just such a stupid nitpicky thing that doesn't affect anything else in the photo, and be like, Allison, these are Patreon. Clearly, no one's paying attention to how something is slightly different because they're all just looking at you. And I'm like, yeah, but while it's for paid content, it's like it's still like me that's getting put out there, and it's like my brand. It's like it needs to be still to my standard. I don't care what other people think.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, just like yesterday, I uploaded a photo and like I have very veiny arms, and I saw I did not edit out one of the veins, and one of the photos that went up, and I just was like this, like I have to let this go. It's already up, and it's fine. Like if I'm veiny, bitch. What am I gonna do? Like it's just what it is. So I don't know. I definitely get what you mean, but I'm not a perfectionist, but for some reason, some things just like hit me, and I'm just like I gotta let it go.
Megan,
Gotta let it go. It depends.
you need to not be vain about your veins.
Oh.
Sorry.
Nuts.
So bad?
Okay, I think with that's all the questions I had pre-planned for you guys, which means now we can switch over to taking some questions from chat. I have a couple preloaded up here that I was kind of taking in as we were going here. However, chat, I want your questions. So if you guys have any questions for Allison, Megan, or any of us, let them fly. They can be about self-shooting. They can be about cosplay. They can be about anything cosplay adjacent. It's time to open things up here. So I'll probably have us answer things that are self-shooting related first, but don't let that kind of limit your questions if you have anything you're curious on. So go ahead and let those fly in chat, and we need those questions, by the way. Otherwise we'll end pretty fast here. So I got a couple saved here. This one was from Mango Cost, which was does shooting others and friends help a lot with learning self-shooting? Like, does the experience and learning settings, editing, etc., or is it better to solely focus shooting it on yourself if self-shooting is your goal?
So the way I feel like I got good at photos is literally by shooting over the shoulder of everyone's work I admired. Like I remember following Andrew around at Katsucon and being like, and taking my little NEX camera and being like, can I take photos too? And he'd be like, oh yeah, that's cool or whatever. Sure, I'm Andrew. And then we go to the shoot and and Andrew will introduce himself and I'll be there like little lighting assistant, right? And I'll go like they'll do the cosplay photographer talk or whatever, and then I'll go up, I'll introduce myself, and like, do you mind if I snag some shots too and whatnot? And I wasn't ever rejected. But I don't know if it's the same for everybody. But yeah, like I just started sniping over all of my friends, and I would see what they were doing, how they were getting things, and then I would take those photos and I would do Discord meetups, like or like hangouts, like we are right now, just not live streamed. I'd be like, "How are you doing that? Why are you doing that? How do I retouch like you? What's Lightroom? I don't know." Like, like I used to just clone stamp people's like my eye bags and stuff out, and now I'm like, oh, frequency separation, mixer brush, or whatever, right? I literally was just a hover friend and hover photographer that everyone hates, but was somehow socially acceptable because I don't know.
I think you were doing it with people that liked you. That's the big difference there.
Don't do it to strangers, yeah.
Yeah,
but...
you weren't hovering strangers, that photographers that didn't know you and tried to get shoots off them. You were like, "Hey friends, let me hover on you," and which most of the time that's totally fine. I think most friends let friends do that. Frankly, it's more fun that way. But
For me, I guess mostly I shoot myself. Like where I live in Florida, I don't really have anybody near me to like work with. The only person I know is like Kaze Photography, and he lives like over 4 hours away. So it's just like I take pictures of my birds if those kind of other people, sure. But
They're
no,
so
like
cute. They're so cute.
they're cute. Those are my babies. But
they are.
like
Thanks
I
for
really
noticing.
they're so cute. They're so cute. So I never really had the opportunity to learn shooting other people for the most part. Like I would do it a little bit here and there, but I wasn't really shooting other people very frequently when I started out. I always only started shooting other people, I guess, when I started this job right around the time of like the start of coronavirus is when I started actually shooting other people, which was my coworkers, and then subsequently weddings and stuff that kind of came up. So, just for me, just because I didn't get that kind of practice, I can't really speak much on the topic. But now self shoot, not or sorry, not self shooting. Now me shooting my friends and like the weddings. I mean, I guess I might learn like a couple, like, oh, this kind of shot could be cool for the future. But for the most part, I kind of did it in reverse, where I shot me and then others instead of others and then me. So I can't really offer too much insight, unfortunately.
Totally. Let's transition to this next question, which was from Crimshade. Yes, I wanted to ask how far in advance you schedule / plan shoots. Are there elements you have really well in advance, or are they generally medium term things?
It depends.
Everything for me. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you can go ahead, Megan. You can go ahead. That's fine.
Oh, everything for me is just kind of like whatever I feel like doing that day. I mean, I guess if I'm getting a costume, I'll be like, well, I already kind of know where it's gonna go. I wouldn't say it's necessarily planning, but like immediately I kind of like, okay, well, I'm probably gonna shoot with this backdrop. It's probably gonna come in at this time, so I can kind of be like, okay, I don't really schedule anything. My plans are all tentative. It's like, oh, I know I have these laying around. I can do something with them this weekend, or oh, this is coming in tomorrow. I can shoot it after work, kind of thing. I'm not really planning much. If I'm traveling, then yeah, I could probably put a little more effort into actually planning. But for me at home, nah, no plans. Head empty. Nothing going on up here.
Total. But I'm not really.
You're breaking
I
up on us
like-
for a second there, Allison.
I am.
Yeah, just audio wise. So just
Oh.
talk louder, I guess.
Okay, so but Sarah, I'm sorry. But, it really depends on my monthly budget. A lot of the times, like sometimes I'll make more a month, and I can put that towards a project that's been floating in my head for the seasonal time, because those are my favorite times to take photos, because you can get really creative. Like it's spooky time right now. I could be like anything, and I've had like I did Lady Death, and I started that last year, but I just didn't really commit to doing it. So I knew I wanted to accomplish that this year. And then I was just other times it's just like, oh, that outfit's kind of cute. I want to do something with that, and it might be more on a whim during the month. But a lot of times I go into every month, knowing like, okay, this is a costume that I for sure want to get at least one set done for this month because it'll go over well. So like lately, like a month or like I think in September, was that a month ago? Was it? Yeah. Is that what the last month was? In September, I was already thinking of content, or at least like getting it on my mind that I need to start thinking of Christmas and what am I going to do for the holidays, because that's a really big time, I guess, in general for most content creators to make a lot of money because people have more disposable income around those times. So I'm just like, okay, what type of themes do I want to do this year? I got these cute like candy bunny and bear ears that I haven't done anything with. I wanted to do something with that, so I need to find appropriate outfits and props. I've been thinking of all this stuff since September. And like when it's the hot months, I'm just like, okay, like this month I could do this swimsuit cosplay or this swimsuit. And like I try and like at least go into like by the middle of the previous month, I'll have a general idea of what I'm going to be doing for the next month, if that makes sense. At a minimum, I have an idea. And depending on budget, like I said, I can order items for the next month at that time, or maybe I need to wait until I get paid, right? So it kind of just is all up in the air a lot of time.
Awesome. Let's move on to this question from Salt Syrup. Doggo? We getting doggo time? Oh.
Oh, she doing a howl? Oh, woo. No, she just burps instead. Okay.
Come on, Mochi, you can do it. I believe in you.
Let's do the
Oh, woo. No, oh, woo. He's not interested.
Wow. I see how it is.
Can you speak? Can you speak? Wow.
There we go.
Wow, good job. Okay. A woo. Yeah.
What a
Yeah.
cutie.
Wow. Okay, anyway.
A baby.
She just glares at me all the time. She despises my existence, I swear.
Oh, she's so woo.
So this next question was from Salt Syrup. Do any of you decide / plan on a cosplay after seeing a location that inspires you?
I do all the time. Like, I think I kind of briefly touched on it earlier. I don't really always cosplay characters that I might like. Like, what is it? Shield Hero, Rising Shield Hero or something, Raftalia. I don't watch anime. I'm not a big anime. I'm familiar with the classics like Panty and Stocking and Samurai Champloo. But like anything else,
I can't believe Panty and Stocking is considered a classic.
In my opinion, it is. It's a fine art. I love it.
Oh my god.
Classics like Cowboy Bebop.
No, but
yeah.
But
God damn it.
Andrew's been trying to make me watch that for like a year now.
Probably longer.
I've been meaning to, but anyway, so like I'm like obsessed with the idea of Raftalia. I don't care about the show, but I'm like, oh my god, cute like raccoon girl in really nice outfit. I can do fall colors. I know a spot. I can go in the woods and do this. I know like a lumber pile. Like Megan knows, she shot Raftalia at my farm, like in exactly the place that I wanted to do it if I were to do it. Like that's how I go about deciding majority of my costumes. Yeah. Like Monster Hunter stuff, I'm just like, I love Monster Hunter, but I'm like, sweet state park that has waterfalls and like this like canyon. It's not a canyon, but it's kind of like a canyon, like just a bunch of rock formations. I'm like, I want to shoot in the middle of that because it looks like Asteria. And yeah, I'm all about locations and just matching costumes to locations. It's my favorite thing.
For me, I guess not really. When I went to Allison's last year around this time actually, that was definitely like, oh, a new location. There's gonna be fall. Like, what a new sight for me. So I was like, let me jam all of like the festive costumes into my suitcase.
Bless you.
But yeah, I guess I don't really like plan like, oh, this is a cool location, so I'll get this costume. I'm very passive in that aspect. If I like a costume, like cool, and then the location hopefully comes after. Yeah.
Um,
I'm the opposite. I'll be like, this is a cool location. I want so and so to cosplay this so I can photograph it, not
Yeah,
necessarily
yeah.
me. Yeah.
totally. Kind of continuation on this question, which was, do you ever change into costume or pieces of the costume on location due to it being either tough to walk in or, it's just harder to carry
Yes.
stuff or whatever?
Also, that's just safe. That's just safer
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I always when I did Harley Quinn, I was in a park. I bring an extra pair, I don't wear those shoes there. I'm wearing sweatpants. I have a jacket that zips up so no one can see this thing walking that's just a Harley Quinn, and it's like, you're a nerd. I don't want to be pointed out in crowds. I'm like, zip it all up. The most you're gonna see is the wig, because I glue some wigs down sometimes just to make sure parts are perfect. So it's kind of hard to do that in a car. But yeah, I will go in as best I can incognito mode if I had to be in public. I don't want, no.
That's interesting.
I mean, I
It's more about a privacy thing than a convenience or ease thing.
It is a privacy thing because then you're not
Yeah.
like what we were saying, a spectacle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's always like the one thing that comes into my head, which is it's not that weird when you go into a McDonald's in cosplay at a con, but if you go into
Yeah.
McDonald's in cosplay when you're driving to the con and you stop at one
Yeah.
an hour out or something, and then people are like,
Yeah.
The fuck?
yeah,
Excuse me?
it's kind of amazing how much people gawk. It's
Literally, what I'll prepare myself sometimes. Like, I've told Dan this before. I'm just like, if anyone comes up to us, we're doing a TikTok, because TikTok is normal and all the kids are doing it. I'm like, if anyone asks, it's TikTok, because that's more normal, and
That's
people
so
understand
funny.
that more than cosplay. I'm like, no, it's TikTok. It's TikTok. I don't even do
That's
TikTok.
so
It's a TikTok.
funny.
That's really clever. It's a good one. For me, luckily wherever I do shoot, I kind of drive there and I just like to bust out of the car, and I'm pretty much wherever I bust out is right where I'm taking that photo. Luckily, at the places I tend to be at. So like if I had to put on anything I couldn't drive with, sure. Recently I did shoot Frantiva from the game Illusion Connect, and I could barely walk in that, let alone sit in a car in it. Everything was assembled on my body on location because it was an armored skirt and a corset, and just my fingers were armored, my legs were armored. It was a lot and it was heavy. I could not exist, let alone be sitting in a car in that outfit. I literally was assembled like a robot on location by my mom. Thank you, mom. And like I guess like the only thing I can compare to is when I was in Chicago, one C2E2. I think Jenny and I took the bus there, and I was Black Cat, but I wore winter clothes over it. And I changed into it for the most part I don't even think it was the lobby of the con. It was some other hotel that connected. And I'm just like changing into Black Cat like in the lobby straight up. And I'm like, okay, let's go. I have transformed into this creature. I shedded my
have
mortal skin
appeared.
in the lobby of the hotel.
Yeah. So I kind of want to build off of what Akari said in chat about this. They said, I don't know if it's that crazy that people gawk at people in costume outside of Halloween. I think it really depends on your location. Like I've done Black Cat in like 2014, I believe it was, and in Chicago, downtown Millennium Park, and no one blinked an eye at me.
Really?
No one. Yeah, they're just like, dude, Black Cat and Spider-Man, cool. And they just keep moving. Like, they don't come up to you. They might look at you, but they just mind their own business. And I think it just has something to do with, obviously, like, there's a lot of, like, movie crews and a lot of productions in larger cities, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta, etc. So I think they're just more used to seeing just the strange things happening that they just are like, that's happening, and keep minding their own business. So, like, it's very different than, like, being in a smaller town or, like, somewhere where you're, like, that type of entertainment industry hasn't touched at all, where you are just a commodity.
I can kind of like add to that. This is either me self-shooting or shooting with friends when they're in town. I have had where like I'm shooting on the beach and I see the ladies sitting in their beach chairs taking video or pictures of me, or like I'll be at the park and I see someone like obviously following me with their camera,
Oh,
Snapchatting
Oh
or whatever, and
God.
Ugh.
I clap back a little. I'll like throw up an
yes,
inappropriate
Megan.
gesture, or I'll
I
just
love
point
how
at
you
them.
said it like that. An
Or
inappropriate
like I have had, I
gesture.
think before Mike, we were shooting at the beach, Kazuya photography, and I think he just like started pointing his camera at them to be like, "We see you too, ma'am.
Oh, I've done
Yes,
that.
Mike.
Yeah.
Avert your gaze, please. Like, you don't know if I'm 17 or 28. You don't know who I am. So stop it, please." I don't know. It just I get very full of rage when this happens because it's like I get it. It's a spectacle, but don't be like one of those people who makes it into a spectacle. Just let me
Yeah.
Yeah.
live. This is
Just
let
let
me
me
to.
be.
We see a
It's-
lot weirder things out here. Me
Yeah.
in a saber costume at the park is really not the weirdest thing you've seen today. Like,
Yeah.
trust me. Like,
That-
let me live, please.
That might, I
in
think
Florida.
there's a difference between looking at someone and being like, "Wow, that's kind of weird," and
That's
then
fine.
being like,
Yeah.
there's a huge difference there, and you kind of feel like it's the difference between like spotting a like wildlife out on a hike versus being at the zoo, and you're just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just feel like it's an invasion of my I know like technically it's not illegal, but like I'm not
Yeah.
consenting to you filming me. I don't know
Mhm.
where that's going. Like this is obviously an extreme case, but like you could potentially dox somebody if that's going on your Snapchat.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I mean that's a very extreme case and that has not happened to me or anything, but like that's not a unthinkable reach, I guess. You never know.
Right.
And so I don't really appreciate when that's done. And I know they don't mean it with malintent, but like it's just like if let's say you were somewhere and like I don't know how to put like would they like it if it was reversed? No, they'd come in
No,
there
they'd
and be
hate
ready
it.
to throw hands.
Exactly.
Exactly. But for me it's a spectacle because I'm wearing an outfit. Seems a little
yeah.
not I don't know. I don't appreciate that because like I get I'm wearing a cool a interesting weird outfit. Like I could say the same thing about your getup and start filming you and you'd call the cops.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Mhm.
I don't know.
So true.
So, Fairest, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, asked in chat, is there a way to get into photography on a budget? Or what would you say the bare minimum / essential things and knowledge you think are important for getting into photography? Kind of talked about that earlier, but I think it's probably worth reiterating. If you're trying to self-shoot, I think kind of the answer here was you can use your phone. Like, it's okay to do that. Phones are pretty damn good these days, and it's a pretty good entrance point.
And there's even mobile versions of Lightroom, or if you don't want to get that complicated, there's just use like a good editing app like Visco or something that has some nice pre-made filters.
I think
Sure.
photography is one of those interesting things that you can fit it to your budget no matter what your budget is. And also, no matter what your budget is, there will always be a next step in terms of spending. So, it's kind of hard because, like, I think sometimes people look at like Sarah or myself with like pro level DSLRs or whatever and be like, oh, that's the next step. But then we'll be like, oh, I really want to get this another lens and blah, blah. There's always more money to be spent. So there's never like an end point like, oh, I've spent all the money and now I'm here and now I'm 100% good. So I think kind of look at what you're trying to do and go from there. Honestly, buying older camera gear is a great way to get in for cheap if you're looking to figure out whether it's for you. Especially if you have photographer buddies that are really into it. Almost all of us have a camera that is old that we don't use anymore and would be more than willing to like lend you for a little bit. That's how I've gotten some friends into photography before, is just been like, hey, yeah, I've got this old camera that's been sitting in my closet, and it's not particularly good, but I'm not using it. So yeah, you can borrow it for like a month. So
That's how Zhenya got me hooked onto like photography. Is like he let me borrow his camera. It's a much older camera. He had others, so like he wasn't missing it. I eventually bought it off of him. I think I spent like maybe $450. That was with the batteries and lens, a great deal. I got a $30 tripod, a $9 remote. My backdrop stand, the one I had previously, was like maybe a $30 stand. If you have somewhere where you can just put the backdrop up, you don't even need the stand. Backdrops are like, let's just say $15 to $18 on average. So the camera definitely is the most expensive part of it, but I firmly believe that you really can take good photos with a phone, especially
Yep.
modern phones. They blow my photography that I did on my phone back in the day like out of the water. Like, yeah, it's definitely doable no matter what you have. I really do believe that as long as you have artistic vision and like you can execute it, you can use anything for sure. I've seen
I
all these
think
videos of like I think Laura Jade Photography did it where she was using kids' cameras, like toy cameras, to show that you really can take a beautiful photo with any device
yeah,
as long as you have it in you, you know?
totally.
someone I know that's really good at using their phone is Mason Hikari. Like Neil has taken some fantastic shots on his phone. I'm just like,
Yep.
how?
They're
But like
annoyingly good.
they're so good. But like I think the phones probably are like and like just making sure you're shooting on manual and not doing any of the automatic stuff, but like really understanding like, oh, these are how these settings work because you already have a phone, but like so it's like why not play with the features that they give you, because the more you're comfortable with knowing your settings, the easier you're going to be able to adapt to whichever brand of camera that you towards. And like I said before, like my first camera was a used camera I got on Amazon, and I intentionally did that because I knew it was just a starting and it's just a point to grow and learn from versus just diving in deep and shelling out like thousands of dollars on
Yeah,
gear when I'm not familiar with or like not comfortable enough really using it. And then like if I just went in that deep, I'd be so scared to probably really take my camera and use it in the adventurous ways that I am now. Like I go like I did a beach meetup last year, and like I was like at water level with my camera, like this A7, because I'm like, well, I know how to use it, I know what I want the shot. But like if it was something that like that was my first camera, my first purchase, and I just spent a bunch of money on it, I'd be so hesitant to get in the water and get the shot that I wanted. But then I feel like I would fail as a photographer if I didn't get that shot that I envisioned. But yeah, just having that starter like used camera like just got me comfortable knowing like what I want out of my equipment and what I'm expecting, and I know where I want to upgrade to.
So, Nykill asks in chat, what sort of set pieces / backdrops do you find useful to have in your stash that you constantly reuse?
Japanese sets. I've got like I personally am like a hoarder of props. And so I've invested in like a bamboo mat rug and is it just like a folding screen, a room divider, and some papered lanterns. And you can like just as a base, that's such a good base for so many diverse costumes right there. And that's one way to dress a set. Otherwise, like a blank wall, this is just amazing. Like black, white are such diverse backdrops to have. And
I have to ask though, how do you store all this shit? Because that's something I've been struggling with. It's like I already have all of my costume shit everywhere, and then now I'm like hoarding backdrops and like other miscellaneous props, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with all this? Also, I live in an apartment and like not a house, so that probably is not going to help.
Part of it.
yeah,
But
so my apartment, I only have 2 closets. And one is only slightly bigger than the other. And one is completely taken up just by crafting supplies, and then the other is clothes, my actual clothes, and then a
Wait,
little
you wear
bit of
actual clothes?
Sometimes, like it's hard to, yeah. And then there's a little bit of like prop storage in there for sets. I'm fortunate enough where my family allows me now. I had to work up to that point to be able to keep like my bigger pieces instead of keeping them here because they take up a lot of room. I can store them at my farm. But
I see.
they were previously I had everything in my closet here, and so it took up like a third. But I only invest in really reusable things that I can really utilize. So like that folding screen, the bamboo mat, and then white backdrop, black backdrop, and some string, like different types of string lights. And I've got like a brick backdrop too. Like I keep my backdrops to an absolute minimum and things that can be really universal and utilized.
Mm-hmm.
Because then everything else that I'll do is all props and different things to make sets different and stand out from each other. So whether that's lots of skulls from the dollar store that I can put in a bin and a tote, and those totes can get stacked, or glassware that might be different, or fake candles, different types of string lights, fabric, like tulle curtains and stuff. I really like investing in just switch in and out.
It's just as much stuff as I thought.
Yeah, it's still a lot of stuff, but the bulk of it, like I've got a big tub that's like this big maybe, but it's all small props, and like I try and fit like folded backdrops on top. But like the big set pieces, they used to just be standing in my closet, and yeah, that was
Definitely
like
more
my
into
organization.
set building. Like when I visited you last year, the sets you made in your basement, I was like, whoa, you're living the life. I was like, this is so cool. I don't really I live with my family, so I don't have a ton of room. I'm hoping to move soon, but so for me, I just have backdrops folded. I don't really have all the props. Like Allison has like props, like she's got it set up. I don't really have a lot of props. If I do, they're like pushed away somewhere in the garage. Um, set props, should I say? But I do love backdrops, and Allison's definitely right. Like you don't need a ton of them. You can definitely just use like, oh, I need brick, I need nature, I need something plain, whatever. I want to be like that, but I just like I love backdrops, and I want to have all different ones for every occasion. I want water, I want sky, I want snow, I want fall, I want summer, I want graffiti, I want the city. So I have like a bunch, but you probably honestly realistically need a plain one. I have a few that are plain where it's like grayish bokeh looking stuff in the background. Amazing. I use it all the time. You can always change the color with editing. A nature one I think is good, and then like a darker one, like something like in a city or graffiti or like brick or wood wall kind of stuff. Always great, and you can get backdrops for that for sure on Amazon because I have them. Like I can tell you they are there. That kind of stuff. Like you really need like just a few to cover a lot of bases. Like they are pretty versatile. Like I would dare say some characters have too many matchups in my bin of backdrops that I could use for them. So there's definitely you don't need to have like a ton of stuff. You don't need to hoard to get what you need.
So Salt Syrup followed up with this is where do you guys set up these props or backdrops? Is there a specific place in your home, or do you move furniture and store it when you're finished?
So in my bedroom, like that's where I normally do a lot of my. I'll just hang a backdrop stand, do curtains, exchange like lights and whatnot. But it's got a hole filled because it's an outer wall. It's got brick against that whole side of the apartment. And I was like, oh my god, I want to use that entire brick, but I've got a giant bed in the way. I literally moved and shoved my whole bed up against my closet, and you couldn't get in and out through the door, so I was stuck in this room forcing myself to shoot because I wanted this stupid brick wall. But yeah, like I will, if I have a vision, I'll make it happen. But like I said, I'm fortunate enough where like my family has let me take a little space at my farm, and so like building sets there is now like super amazing because I have a lot more free space because it's all just concrete there, like concrete wall, concrete floor. It's really like unfinished. So like, the concrete floor or wall is like my favorite thing anymore to shoot up against, but like it's so just blank and like such a studio space that like I can set up, tear down anything I want. I built a platform there now to like get myself at the level of like my tripod, because tripods don't go that low. But was that even answering the question? I can't even remember what the question was.
More or less.
But yeah, that's what I do. It's not like most of my stuff isn't even here, but the downside of that now is like because I've been shooting far away now, like 30 minutes away now. If I want to shoot here, I have to drive my ass all to another state to come back here, and yeah, it's kind of a hassle, but sometimes it's worth it.
For me, I just kind of set up. I have a backdrop stand, but luckily lately I haven't had to use it so much because I realized I can just clip my backdrop straight to where like we hook up our hurricane shutters on one of the back patio's like big glass doors. So I just like I literally
Only
just
in
take the
Florida.
backdrop and the two clips and I clip
Clamp it up.
it. If it's too windy, I hang a clip off the bottom to keep it from like blowing away. And I'm like, good enough. And so I literally just stand on my patio when the light is good. It's like when sunset happens, I am summoned outside, the backdrop is up, I have my tripod, and I just take it, and I'm like, cool. Because like if I don't have to use the backdrop stand, we love that. I have too many things to carry around. I get too sweaty setting up because it's super hot outside here year round. So I just like clip up the things, and I'm good. Besides that, I don't know. That's really all I do.
Amazing. So this made me think of another question for you, Megan. So you conceivably have 5 billion cosplays. Do you store them? Do you sell them once you're done? Like, what do you do?
Well, I used to sell costumes because, like, I guess my friend group at the time was like, "Well, you have to sell them." I'm like, "Okay," because I don't know. I guess that's just like what they were doing. So I'm like, "Okay, I'll sell these too," and I regretted it immediately because I get very attached. And I'm always like, now that I'm my own photographer, I'm like, I wish I still had them so I could shoot them the way I wanted, of course. So I regret doing that. I don't sell anything anymore. Not great advice. Kind of not great because my uncle lives nearby and he has a storage unit like under his apartment. So, well, that's where a lot of it is, and a lot of it's like hidden in like, oh, a tote
Megan,
in the garage, a
Megan, the
tote in the guest
cosplay
room.
dragon, just
I
sitting
know.
upon her
That's what
pile of
Genya said.
cosplays.
She is, because Megan, you posted like a video thing like forever, and she was just opening up like drawers everywhere, like under her bed, everywhere, and there's just costumes falling out of all of her furniture.
Oh
And I was
my
like,
god.
Amazing.
I don't know what to do. Like my mom calls it, I'm basically like a fungus, and I know my mom like
A
hates it because like if you
fungus?
open any drawer, not like in not just my room, but like my sister moved out. Her closet, cosplay.
yeah.
You open her drawer, an umbrella and an LED panel immediately. You go to the guest room, don't like wigs stacked in boxes in the labeled, but stacked in the closet. Below that, hoop skirts in a bag. Like everywhere there is something. And like I get that it's bad. When I move, at least it'll be like cured from here. But that's my problem in my next house, obviously.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
No,
That's
I don't know what to
incredible.
do. I get very attached. I'm like, well, because like I think this comes from the trauma of shooting with people and never getting photos back, where I'm like, well, I can't get rid of this costume because I never got this, or like I sold something and I regretted it. So they're all here probably forever. And one day I'm gonna go crazy and like bring it all to a con and be like, who wants 300 cosplays this size? Come take them. I don't need them anymore.
Amazing. That was everything I could have hoped for from that answer. Thank
No,
you.
don't no one please take any advice from me. You shouldn't have had me on this. I don't know what I'm doing.
And now
Don't
is
be
the
like me,
exact
please.
moment that you regret everything. So Mango Cause asked in chat, which chat probably gonna only take a handful more questions, but if you have them, pop them up in chat. Mango Cause asks, what's your biggest quote unquote shooting rookie mistake that you'd warn other cosplayers against?
I think always keep lighting him. I think most people know this, but like the most rookie thing I can say is make sure you're somewhere where you like the lighting. You're shooting at a time of day where the lighting's good, because I think lighting makes or breaks photos
I would
100%.
100% agree.
It 100%.
Like I think like just thinking, oh, I'm gonna go out right now and shoot, unless you have like a plan to get around like the sunlight or the lack thereof. Like, oh, unless if you want to shoot in the middle of the day, sure, but try to be under a tree, like something like that. Just like keep in mind like where you're shooting and what the light's gonna be like, just so you. Because if the light's bad, I don't like the photo, and it's never gonna see the light of day. So I would
Mhm.
just say lighting, but I feel like most people in here already know that. If
Yeah.
you have some interest in photography and you're here, this is probably extremely like redundant for you because I mean but that I guess if you're truly a beginner, that would be it.
I don't know. I would
Besides that,
argue
Well, I think
there's enough
it's
people that shoot photos that don't get that. So I don't know.
well,
I
'cause
think it's
I think it's like not necessarily focusing on just having light. Period. It's understanding how the light is hitting your model.
yeah.
Like
okay, yeah,
I've seen a lot of photos where I'm like, okay, well your lighting situation was really great, but your model's backlit and their face is shadowed, and
Yeah.
there's really no amount of editing that can save this. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like your lack of
I-
understanding of light direction.
I kind of
Yeah.
what I will always say is you can have a bad photo with good lighting, but you can rarely have a good photo with bad lighting.
Mhm.
It's the first thing that I focus on when I'm taking a photo. I worry about backdrop, pose, whatever. All of that is secondary to the lighting, because if you have good lighting, chances are you're going to have a decent photo. So that's a
Sure.
great place to start. So I think that's totally valid.
I think my idea of a rookie mistake is over editing. But
Yes.
this just like applies, I think, to anyone that's editing photos. Um, a lot of times, especially when you're editing yourself, you're really getting into the nitty gritty of like, oh my god, why do I like this? And fixing everything until you have like the smoothest, most poreless, textureless skin possible. And like, there's I don't know, like there's people that like that look. I'm personally not one of them. But for me it's really important. Like when I'm editing, I do not like I'll sit far away. Like I sit at a distance from my computer. I like to keep a distance from my work just so that way I can be like, I did this like too much dodge and burn here. I did way like this is just way too smooth here. Like I like I don't know. I like being able to just take a step back and be like, okay, that's a bit much, and go back and correct any of those mistakes there. Oh.
Yeah, I think that's a great advice. Continuing to say something that's been on my mind recently, which is liquefy is a tool, but if it is a tool, it is more of a tweezers than a hammer. So please use it delicately and sparingly. It is not a hammer. 'Cause,
Jesus Christ.
I mean, gosh, I see so many photos recently where I'm just like, that's not how human body do. That's not how human body do. So sorry, little side tangent, but I feel like I've been seeing it more now than ever, and I don't know why, but who knows?
Jenya always tells me it has to pass the seems legit test.
Yeah,
Like, does it seem
Dude,
legit?
that's
Yeah,
true.
like,
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, couple questions left here, which is this one's from Sakura Starburst. What is the most satisfying or gratifying part of doing cosplay or shooting cosplay for you?
So like I've discovered after really pushing myself as a photographer and really that crap that I don't necessarily enjoy cosplay anymore. I found myself much more enjoying the end result, like that finished photo, that finished body of work that shows like, look at all these things that I accomplished to get to that point. Like I like that I made whatever look that I did. Like I'm proud of like my outfit and whatnot, but just seeing that end result of total creative control over the entire process is just so much more satisfying to me now versus just being like, I love cosplay. Like, no, I love the stress of building that look, like the outfit. I like the stress of getting to the point of like shooting and understanding like those skills, and then I like putting all those things together and seeing that end result and having that final thing to be like, I did all of that. That was me.
I am 100% in the same boat as you. Yeah.
Yeah, same. For me, it's a package deal. Like, I don't know how much I enjoy each part separate. Well, I enjoy each part separately, of course, but like as a whole is where it's like finished. Like that's where it's like I enjoy this whole process. Each part individual is cool, but like when you put it all together, you get so much more satisfaction because you get the whole spectrum of like the creation from like concept creation, wearing it, makeup, shooting, editing, enjoying your time in the costume, whatever, and like you get the whole thing, which I think just gives you like a really great experience with the hobby in general.
Yeah, so it's really not just any one thing, but it's that culmination of everything that makes it enjoyable.
Mhm.
Awesome. Chat, if you guys have any final questions, get them in now. Otherwise, we're gonna probably call it a limit on any questions here in like maybe a minute or two here. Is there any specific cosplays that you've gotten that you've self shot where you've just been super happy with the photos lately? I love Megan, Allison. You guys, when I brought up this question, both of you immediately went like, just looked up.
What have I done?
Amazing.
I have to look at my phone because I have too many and I don't remember.
Yeah.
Megan, let me see. I've got about
Our favorite
5
thing that we've
billion.
shot lately?
Yeah, maybe that's simple.
Okay, so I think complete self shoot that I think I am the most happy with this year is my whole Witcher boudoir series. I absolutely love those photos so
I think
much.
you
Like,
nailed the lighting on those. Those
thank
looked really
you.
good.
Like I
That was
was
stunning.
I was so excited about those. Like, yeah, they're like the sexy, lewd, like whatever. Like, but like I just felt like an artist making those. Like I wanted, I don't know, I just feel like those photos really embodied and nailed the concept that I wanted, which was like classic oil kind of painting, like lighting and like that orangey and green, like just like over time is like aged kind of look. And I think like the set was dressed really nice. I'm so proud of those photos. I think that's what it is for me.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Hmm.
How about for you,
I
Sarah?
can't really think of.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
Didn't
go
mean to
ahead.
cut you off, Megan. Go ahead.
Oh, I was thinking I can't really think of anything off the top of my head right now, but I really enjoyed. I think this was this year. I shot. My sister's roommate has a beautiful white cat, and I mean, they're not like probably the best photos I've ever done, but I really loved it because I really wanted to shoot Sailor Venus with a white cat, and she
Mm,
happened to have this perfect, beautiful, sweet white cat that put up with me.
Artemis.
And
adorable.
yeah, and I had a terrible allergy attack, and like it's just like I was ready.
Oh
I was very
no.
committed. I was just like, I really, really, really want it, so I just have to do it. And like, I think I got like 5 pictures from it, and I think my sister helped me. She actually was one to take the photo, so I probably can't like take the credit for the whole self photography thing. But I think shooting with the kitty was like so fun and something different, and like something I really wanted to do. So I enjoyed that. It might not be technically the best, but I was very happy with that photo shoot.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think about it when I saw the photos, but yeah, you plus animal probably not gonna end well.
Hives,
Miss
hives, hives, hives. Immediate shower.
Miss
I had to go
terrible,
home
the
and I
worst
took
the
the
worst
costume off and
allergies
went
of
home.
anyone I know.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Okay, I think this will be a final chat question for the night. And this one is from Nikil. I've never know how to pronounce this. I'm so sorry. I'm terrible. Is there any preferences for real life / editing as special effects and self shooting in terms of like makeup and props or other things like smoke?
I think when it comes to more like elemental stuff like smoke and fire and like all that stuff, do it in person if you can with the safety of someone who knows how to handle that kind of stuff. I've definitely seen cosplayers shoot with those kinds of things, and I'm like, oh, I hope you had like
Safety?
a safety plan, and you had like a fire extinguisher with you, or like whoever was there to help you, like assist. Like, don't think that just because you watched a YouTube video on how to like play with fire that you know how to play with fire. You know what I mean? So like that makes me kind of nervous, but like you can have the prop, right? What is it? Any purposes, real life edited, blah, blah. I mean, it's like with the makeup and the special effects and the props. Like, if you can have it, go for it. But if you can't and you know how to like add it into the photo later, that works too. A lot of photographers do that. So I know there's really nothing wrong with either of those things. But the smoke and the fire, I'm a little weird about. So
Yeah, anything you can try and do in camera is probably one going to be way less of a pain down the road, and two, it's going to look better, but you know, I mean, do what you can. So
I guess don't really do any effects per se because that's beyond my comprehension. I don't know how to do smoke, fire, any of that, but I do some makeup editing in posts. Like, let's say, you know, how sometimes like your makeup just doesn't show up on camera very well, like the colors, the vibrance, anything. It's not as dark as you want. I might go dodge and burn or increase some saturation with a little brush in Lightroom. I also have recently, whenever I cosplay Lore Olympus characters, I don't body paint. That's all done in post. So it just saves me time and
Thank
effort
God.
and like yeah, and also like my body painting wouldn't be that good anyway. I'm sure it'd be patchy and just like too much work. My
Well,
skin
then
stains really
Florida
easily. I don't need to go to
conditions.
work. Yeah, Florida's too hot for that. Like there's just so many reasons why it's not gonna work out. So all
yeah,
of the Lore Olympus stuff, like yeah, my eyebrows, lipstick, my makeup is done, but my skin color, like when I'm red, when I'm yellow, when I'm pink, that's edited for sure. That's just brushed right on in post.
awesome. Yeah, that one's super interesting because I don't think I would. You do a really good job of that, especially considering I know you don't really
Mhm.
Photoshop.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I it was a learning process.
Yeah, because like, what do you change your skin color in Lightroom? Or
Mhm.
I wouldn't even know how to approach
Okay.
that.
use the brush
I just
tool.
Yeah.
I just use the brush tool and I just like
Wow.
I like lower the clarity so it's smoother, put the color on I want. Sometimes it takes more than one pass with the brush. I'm sure people probably know how to
Yep.
do it way better than me, but that's kind of what I do. I just like brush over it, a little less clarity for smoother skin, some more color, maybe I have to go over again, and I'll erase any overspill, and I guess I don't know, that's just it. That's how I've done them all.
That's I think you do a super impressive job knowing all of that.
Thank
And,
you.
and frankly, you know, if you're like just bypassing your images on Instagram, I think you do a very convincing job of it. So props to you on that.
I'm glad, thank you. Sometimes then I don't ever know because you know when you're working on something, you're like
Oh yeah.
been staring
Mhm.
at it for so long, whatever, you're like,
Oh
"Okay,
yeah.
whatever this is, it is." So, thank you, I appreciate that.
That's why my rule is I never post an image the day I edited it.
Mhm. So you
Um
can sit on it.
yeah. Um uh yeah, I always sit on it.
Um,
Go ahead.
I guess like for me, like going back to the effect stuff, I like to do as practical as I can. But obviously it's kind of impossible by yourself if you want smoke in your self shooting because it's super dangerous to have to light something, toss it behind you, and then maybe get a shot. That's not smart. Um, so lately, I think Sono Photos sent me like smoke brushes. So like I tried that out for my witch shoot, and like the brush itself was great. I just don't know how to like necessarily isolate myself as a subject. Like yeah, sure, subject select, but like I don't know, my Photoshop just doesn't want to work when it's trying to select a subject. But what is it? I love adding dust particles to certain photos to really like just like when you get that nice sun glare in the upper portion of the photo and you just get some dust particles in that, like heck. It's
You're
like my
preaching to the
kryptonite
choir.
anyway.
Yeah.
Like, oh my
Oh,
god,
totally.
like dust particles. And like I think this year I've just been really experimenting with some like like a few photos in every set get a little bit of some sort of like special effect, whether it's like a little like wizard magic thing or like a little like weird laser thing. Why did I do that? Oh, Tifa. I added like tried to do like cool like flare
Why did I
like
do
magic
that?
spell like fist things. But sometimes I think they can really boost a photo, and like if the flares or special effects have some like movement to them, I think it can sometimes amplify a very still portrait if they're used properly and adhered properly. So like I'm all about like adding things into a photo as long as the overall image doesn't suffer. So
Absolutely.
Over editing.
yeah, over editing.
Yeah. I think it's all like they can be fun, but oftentimes I think my biggest problem is I see lots of effects added in that just make the photo look worse. So yeah.
Like the like fire flare
Yeah.
like embers in the bottom
Yeah.
entire bottom
Yeah.
portion of the photo, but
You-
there's no lighting that matches it.
yes, all that kind
Listen,
of
stop
stuff.
calling me out like that.
Hey, you're fine. No, you're
I'm kidding.
fine.
I'm kidding.
Okay. Well, I think with that, we're gonna start wrapping things up here. Thanks everyone in chat who asked questions. I really appreciate it. You guys
thank
asked
you.
a bunch of awesome things. With that, I want to give a huge thank you to Starbuxx and Allygator for being here with us. Two of the hardest working, most awesome cosplayers and self shooters I know. So it was great to have you guys on. I loved all the insight you guys provided. So it was really awesome that you guys could do this with us. Let's go. Megan, where can people follow your work and keep up with everything you got going on?
Well, thank you so much for having me, by the way. This is really great.
Totally.
To
I'm
do,
glad
actually.
the
It was really
swamp
fun.
internet held up.
I'm surprised it did. You can find me at Starbuxx, I guess anywhere. STARBUXX. I'm most active on Instagram.
Awesome. And Allison?
So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Allison. That's ALLYSSOONNN for Instagram, and add another N for Twitter. So good luck finding me. It probably isn't that difficult.
I didn't notice the extra ends at the end, to be honest.
I'm just on
I'm just
Twitter
thinking about
or
it
what?
now.
Oh yeah. But then like I don't know, Twitch. I guess it's Alligator. So that's probably why Megan's internet held up, is because there's a gator here. In the swamp.
Oh, of course.
But anyway,
Swamp connection.
I just type in Allie and then hope for the best.
hope it's there.
Yeah,
it's
hope
impossible.
autofill guides me for the rest of the way. Yeah. And Sarah, as always, thank you for joining me here. How can people
Yes.
find your stuff and keep up with you?
Just on Instagram.
Just on Instagram. And obviously you can follow me here on the Twitch at Vontography, which you already know because you're watching it, I would assume. Unless you're watching the VOD. Then if you're watching the VOD, come watch live sometimes. I'm on Instagram at Vontog and Facebook at Vontography. In terms of things coming up, Thursday, I'm going to be playing some more Luigi's Mansion. Started that on last week Thursday. Really fun, really cute game. So come hang out for that. Same time as this stream, so 7 p.m. Central. Next week, I'm not totally sure what's going to go on, but I might do a special vote stream on Tuesday. I might not do anything, but the real important thing is that you vote. Go vote. Go vote. And if you've already voted, good job. But if you haven't, make a plan. Make a plan. Go vote. And then we'll probably get back to things as normal the following week. But yeah, we'll see. Huge huge thank you guys, everyone in the audience for watching, especially for those of you in chat. You guys make it a hell of a lot of fun. If you enjoyed the stream, please consider donating or subscribing, especially if you have Amazon Prime and you that means you have Twitch Prime, which gives you 1 free sub per month to give whichever streamer you'd like. You have to use it. It doesn't auto renew, so you have to do it every time. So if you have that, I appreciate it if you give it here. If not, give it to a streamer. Like, don't let that money go to waste. By all means, I don't expect donations or subs. I just appreciate everyone watching. However, if you can't donate or sub, I'd appreciate if you just told a friend. Word of mouth helps a lot, especially in this age of social media. It's difficult to contact people and let them know about these things. So tell a person, I would say in person, but send them a message about this maybe.
Sharing is caring.
Yes. But with that, I think we're going to call it a night here. Let me see. I'm going to figure out who we want to raid over to. I think we're going to raid over to my guy, Sunflows. He is a awesome streamer, super positive guy with an awesome community. He just took about 2 months off of streaming for some mental health, but he's getting back into it hard.
Oh, that's good.
And he's just super lovely individual with like the most deep, lovely voice possible. I just love the dude. So let me get that raid started. I'd appreciate if you just like stuck around for a little bit, followed us for the raid. And then if you got the Vontog love emote, spam them once you get over there. And thank you again to Megan, Starbuxx, Allison, Alligator, and as always, Sarah, for being here with me. I appreciate you guys. It was a hell of a lot of fun. And as always, think about what you put out in the world. Make it a better place. Goodbye, everyone.
Vote, please vote.
Vote.
Vote.